Everyone's always asking me, like, how did the first date go? How'd the first date go? And I just have to say good, because I don't feel like I can sit there and go, my intuition is telling me that this man has 17 different wives and girlfriends. Like, I sat across the table from this man, and the first thing, when we had like maybe 5 minutes of conversation, my intuition screams at me, this man has several different wives and girlfriends. I can't describe that. You want me to describe that? I mean, the date was still good, but I knew, I was like, this man has several different wives and girlfriends. And you're like, maybe that's your trauma talking. It probably isn't, but the only time I've ever felt this way was I was sitting across from my ex-boyfriend, and I was like, God, I just feel like this man lives a second life. Like, I just know that this man is living a second life. 3 months later, he was, bitch. He had a whole other girlfriend. So I listen to my intuition when it tells me, hey, red flag, I'm getting a weird vibe here. Like, he said a couple things, and I was like, huh, this man has a wife and kids. That's just how I felt. Like, still a good date, I guess. Like, we had good conversations. Like, nothing happened. Yeah, that was my honest review of the date. My honest review is that I sat down and I said, he's looking for his 18th girlfriend, and it will not be me. Wish you well, babe.
Am I the asshole for not apologizing to a friend over adding a food that she did not and cannot eat to our group food delivery order? A month ago, I hosted a movie night for my 5 girlfriends in my apartment. I consider all of them close friends since they're basically all the friends that I have here, and they also went to my wedding. I've been planning this for over a month, and I was really excited to watch the movie for a second time with my friends for a girls' night in. Before the movie, a friend called me to ask if it was okay to bring some fruit to make a drink. I told her yes, because most of us are okay with eating anything, and I thought that it was a nice gesture from her part. The other friend that I've known for around 2 years brought dessert, which was great. However, she's a bit of a picky eater, and because the drink that we made had fruits touching and soda, she pointed out that she needed to sit away from it because she couldn't even be near it. This made my other friend feel a bit bad because she had put a lot of thought into making this, but we were okay with it in the end. See, I can't have friends like this because I'm not patient enough for that. Because what the fuck do you mean? It's got soda and fruit touching, so I need to sit on the other side of the room? All right, sis. Go sit yourself in a corner somewhere, baby, as long as you're comfortable. After the movie, we started talking about what to order to eat. We asked her first because we know that it would be the hardest to choose, and she chooses chicken. Then another friend mentions that she didn't want chicken, but she wanted sushi. So we decided to order from 2 places. Then the friend who wanted chicken asked if the chicken was only for her, to which I replied, no, we're all going to eat from both places, except for the other friend that didn't want the chicken. Then she starts to say that we're singling her out because she doesn't eat sushi and she would throw up if she does. Sis, no one is asking you to eat the sushi. No one said anything about you eating sushi. We asked what you wanted. You said chicken. Okay, cool. I can eat some chicken. Someone else says, I don't want no chicken. I want sushi. Okay, cool, because I can eat some sushi too. Now you feel singled out because you're only going to eat chicken. So is the girl that's only going to eat sushi being singled out too? Like I said, I'm not patient enough for friends that seem to have issues like this, because what the fuck is really going on here? We mentioned the other friend didn't want chicken, so we're ordering something that at least we all wanted to eat, and the check will be divided only from the places that we each ate from. Obviously, we weren't going to charge for something that you didn't want/eat. However, she continued to say that it wasn't fair, and after some discussion deciding of what type of chicken, she went to another room. She got on her phone and didn't speak another word to the rest of us, only whispering to her best friend who was also invited. I would have asked both of these birds to fucking leave. If you want to throw a fucking fit over the fact that we're not only eating what the fuck you want, you can leave and go eat whatever the hell you want to eat. You don't get to stand here and give everybody a fucking cold shoulder when we're supposed to be vibing and having a good time together because you want everybody to eat chicken with you. Yeah, these bitches would have had to leave. Both of them. The best friend that wanted to sit over there fucking whispering with her and her. They gotta go. After eating awkwardly in a group, they both said they were leaving. And that was the last time we spoke. That was a month ago. I sent a short message to the group chat thanking everyone for coming. She read it, but never reacted or responded. I then sent a reel to the same group chat. Again, no reply on her end. I didn't think it was such a big deal, but maybe I was wrong. Am I the asshole for not apologizing or for taking the stand that I took and having something for everyone in the order? No, baby, you're absolutely not the asshole. This girl, I'm not going to call her your friend because she's absolutely not your friend. This girl, this bitch, picked a fight with everybody for no fucking reason. You guys were trying to find something to eat. You know that she's a picky eater, so you gave her the opportunity to choose first. You never said that is all we're going to eat. What do you want to eat? She chose chicken. Okay, that's cool. Not everybody here wants chicken. So someone else chooses something that they want, has nothing to do with her. She's not paying for it. No one asked her to cover the fucking sushi. She throws a goddamn fit because you guys are singling her out because she can't eat sushi or she's gonna fucking throw up. What? What a way to make something that's not about you about you. She can eat whatever the fuck she want to eat. Just because you can't eat it don't mean that no one else in the fucking building can have some. This bitch is childish as fuck. Hell no. I could not be friends with somebody like this. Like I said, this girl is not your friend. She's not. So her not responding to your reels and your thank you message, all that shit, I say good riddance. You act like you guys cannot fucking move on from people. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. It doesn't fucking matter if this is the first time she's ever shown you any type of behavior like this. She is showing you she's capable of behavior like this. And me personally, this isn't someone that I would want in my life. Not at all. My fallback game is expert fucking level. This bitch would wake up tomorrow blocked everywhere. If I knew how to delete pictures and text messages and phone calls from people's phones, I would. Motherfuckers would wonder if I even actually fucking existed. Move on. Be with the friends that actually show you they are your friends, not someone who wants to be upset because they're not the main character. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I don't know that there are people out there that have struggles and issues and intolerances when it comes to food. Absolutely, I agree with you there. But this is not that. This is not like the friend group was refusing to accommodate her with her struggles with food. No, she was given the opportunity to pick first because they knew that she had struggles with her food. She's upset that someone else is eating something that she can't have. Reading this story, I was convinced that everybody in here, late teens, early 20s, max. No, I came down to the comment section. OP confirms everybody in this story, 30 years old. This woman is 30 years old acting like this. OP, move on with your life, baby. This woman is not your friend. She's not your friend. Leave her exactly where the fuck she is, sitting in your DMs, ignoring your messages.
Am I the asshole for throwing away my boyfriend's potentially illegal yogurt collection? I'm a 29 female. My boyfriend is a 30 male. We've been living together for 2 years in a little studio in a very expensive, big US city. My boyfriend grew up rurally with lots of space, enough to collect all kinds of things. He collected action figures and video games and all the normal kid stuff when he was young. But as he grew older, he became interested in more unusual things. As a teen, he had 8 guinea pigs of different types from different breeders. Since Tide Pods were released 7 years ago, he saved one of every kind of Tide Pod. He's got a big box of an international variety of electric insulators, those little ceramic hats that power lines wrap around the power pole. He's not a hoarder. He's usually neat, just used to having lots of space for his bizarro collections. At his parents' ranch, he has 2 big rooms full of containers of weird and impressive things. He recently became interested in yogurt. He not just started drinking milk and sharing ice cream with me, but he's found a love for yogurts. So now he collects them, of course. Problem is, they're perishable. So until earlier today, our little 550 square foot studio contained about 2,100 cups of yogurt. Tons of different varieties, different types, flavors, textures, containers, made by different companies in different countries. This is like crack to my boyfriend. He filled our fridge, bought a new fridge, and then another tiny bedside fridge. He said he didn't want to walk to the fridge at night, but it was obviously a ruse to get more yogurt space. These fridges all filled up with his yogurts, and if you keep them for long, they smell bad. Sometimes the packaging breaks. So our apartment was smelling like rotten milk for the last 2 weeks. And my boyfriend's attitude was, oh, it's fine, and just deal with it for a little longer, until I pulled the plug and threw it all out this morning.
Freezers, I feel like, would have been a better move here.
Yeah.
I was looking at my groceries, which I had to put beside the fridge because there was no space. Everything smelled like death, and then I kind of snapped and threw it all away. My boyfriend is understandably upset. We've been arguing about whether I crossed a line by throwing away his stuff, and he's especially upset because he, of course, had rare yogurts that were hard to find. In particular, he had some Cuban and Iranian yogurts that you can't get in the US. I asked where he got his Iranian yogurt, but he kept insisting the Iranian yogurt is not the issue here, and that the real issue was me throwing out his precious yogurts without his permission. So am I the asshole here? Do I need r/legal advice? Thanks in advance.
You just created like a biochemical hazard in the whatever landfill that's going to.
Am I the asshole for letting my boyfriend date his ex? So, me, 31 male, and my boyfriend, 24 male, have been together for about 8 months. He had told me that he wants to be in a polyamorous relationship. I let them know that I do not have any interest in being poly. He kept bringing up the topic and wanting to open up the relationship. Finally, about 3 months ago, I said I would try it. I said as long as there was communication and he let me know ahead of time that we can try it. My only thing was that I had Mondays and Tuesdays off, so those are our days. Fast forward a couple of weeks and I found out he has a couple of hangouts planned, and I asked about details of the hangout, and it was this guy that we'll call Alec. He was going to take him out to breakfast and pay for everything. I told him that that was a date. My boyfriend told me no it wasn't, and that it was just his friends. He said that this was an old friend and that they were going to catch up. Now here comes the kicker. This was planned on a Monday. I'm off on Monday. I let him know this and he said he forgot and he thought I was going to be sleeping. Background, I work overnights and I get off at 7:30 a.m. on Monday. I stay up all day Monday and go to bed at a normal time Monday night. And this is every Monday. I let it go and told him to enjoy his day. A couple weeks later was my birthday. I was super excited because one of my love languages is gifts. I love giving gifts and I love receiving gifts, and my boyfriend knows this. I know this kind of sounds shallow, but even if it's homemade and doesn't cost money, I will love it regardless.
I found out my girlfriend peed in my food whenever she was angry with me. Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. I feel so dirty. I feel so grossed out and betrayed, and I kept hoping that all of this was a nightmare. I threw out any containers of food I had just because of this shit, and it's got me so paranoid. I feel so violated, and I don't know who to tell. My girlfriend, well, now my ex-girlfriend, was a very chill and very laid-back person, even in arguments. Well, we were talking about how the submarine goers don't really deserve any sympathy, apart from the 19-year-old, rest in peace. Her take was that a life is a life. My take was there was way more information coming out about how this trip was, and any sane person would go, oh no, this is dangerous. Anyway, I thought it was lighthearted because of how she spoke so calmly and even laughed at some points, until she just ended it with, you know what, don't talk to me. I tried to tell her it doesn't matter, and she kept going, yeah, and basically telling me to shut up. So here's where I'm feeling like crap. I wake up in the middle of the night and she's not in our bed. Whatever, I don't control her, right? And I heard the door of the bathroom open, so I figured she just went to the toilet. I feel gross detailing this out, but I could hear her pee hitting the bowl. But she didn't flush. She opened the door again and I heard her walking away. So I was worried and went to check on her. And all this is where my whole life becomes hell. I see her in the living room with one of the food containers that had some leftovers. Next to her was a glass of, you guessed it, I could distinguish by the horrid yellow color and smell. Of course, I saw her pour it in, and I immediately screamed at her, demanding to know what the F she thinks she's doing. She had those deer caught in headlight look and flinched, causing her pee to stain the table and her hand. I kept screaming at her, and she started crying, saying she's sorry over and over. I told her I demanded an explanation, or she's free to call her mom and leave this instant. Apparently, the reason she's always so calm and happy the morning after an argument, where she gets mad, is because she does this. She drinks a whole lot of water, and in the night when I'm asleep, she goes and pours it in food. Apparently this started with simply pouring it on my belongings. I was absolutely disgusted. I yelled at her some more, and I didn't even feel guilty that she cried. I told her to get out of my house or I'm calling the police. She tried to beg but eventually left. I sent her a message to get someone to come get her stuff that were over, and I blocked her. I don't even know what to say. I feel violated, disgusted. The fact that she knew what she was doing, watching me eat, and never felt guilty. I plan on going to the police. I don't know how much they'll believe me, but I'm filing a report against her. I've told my best friend Michael and my parents, and they're on my side.
Am I wrong for bringing my fiancé to my daughter's wedding? I, 52 male, have a daughter, B, 23 female, who got married last week to her wife, E, 24 female. They had been dating just under a year and decided to have the intimate wedding with me and about 20 other guests. B does not get along with my fiancé, M, 29 female. B has no contact at all with M, and she refuses to come to our house and has been quite low contact with me for the last year or so because of an argument she had with M. As expected, B did not invite M to the wedding, but invited me as a guest. M said she did not mind if I went without her, which I thought was very gracious in the face of rudeness. However, we recently found out that M is a few weeks pregnant with our first child, and she has been anxious and having panic attacks all the way through her pregnancy. The morning of the wedding, I found M crying on the sofa and literally shaking. I asked what was wrong, and she said she felt very panicky and unsafe alone. I offered to stay home since she was so ill and I was worried about her, but she insisted I go to the wedding. I was too concerned to go without her, so I messaged E, informed her of the situation that M would be coming with me in case she had a medical emergency while I was away. E did not respond until we were already dressed up and halfway to the venue. E told us that M was not to set foot at the wedding, but at the point I had no other option and I wanted to be there for B. It did not go well. B did not speak to me the whole way through the wedding and kept giving ugly looks to M. At the reception, there obviously wasn't a place set for M and an extra chair had to be squeezed in. But I cut some food and fed her off my own plate, so I did not think it was a big deal. E came to me after dinner and said that B was not doing a father-daughter dance with me and gave me a list of complaints. She said she was disgusted by M's dress because it was red, and that M was wrong to introduce herself as my stepmother to B, and that M should not have mentioned her pregnancy at all. M only mentioned her pregnancy because she was offered a little cake, and cake makes her sick because of the pregnancy hormones. E told us to leave after dinner, and I agreed, so I did not upset B. I don't like, why is the daughter communicating through her wife to her dad? Like, if you want to say something, go talk to him yourself. I don't like that. It's so mature. However, when M stood up, her stomach cramped and she fell over. It only made a tiny scene, but I rushed her out and we sat in another room for 20 minutes until she felt better. E's mother came in at that point while I was just calming M down and made us get out. Since then, E and M's maternal family have been sending me angry messages about how rude we were, and E has told me that they want no contact for the foreseeable future. I really meant well and I just wanted to make everyone happy. But am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for giving my mother-in-law a copy of her own house key when she asked to get a copy of mine? My husband and I recently bought a new home together. His mom has started pestering us for a copy of the key in case of emergencies. I tried to explain to her our house rule, which is only residents of the house get a key. She proceeded to keep complaining and even got the family involved. And last week she demanded a copy of the key sent to her. So instead, I decided to go grab the copy of her key. I grabbed the copy of her house that my husband was keeping for years and sent it to her, along with a note. Am I the asshole for giving my mother-in-law a copy of her own house key when she asked to get a copy of mine? She demanded for a copy of the key to be sent to her, so instead, I decided to grab the copy of the key to her house. My husband was keeping it for years and I sent it to her with a note. The note read, "Only residents get a copy, so this copy is for the home you reside in." Of course, she was beyond livid about it and she told the family and I was called so many names. Now my husband is complaining that I escalated and made a mistake by upsetting her further. And that instead, I should have just stuck to saying no. Am I wrong?
Part 2. My aunt's life is unraveling because she refused to pay me for some art I did. Disclaimer, this is not my story, this is an anonymous submission. Aunt Jay was using this multi-million-dollar real estate company's name and materials when she wasn't even a part of the company. I mean, this is a huge deal, and she could literally be facing years of legal trouble. She is almost certainly going to lose her license if the real estate company pursues her. But it gets even deeper than this. Aunt Jay had just bought a huge new Cadillac Escalade over Christmas, and since she said it was for work, she told my uncle that the real estate company was helping her finance it. My dad called my uncle to let him know what my mom had found out, just as a heads up. My uncle freaked out because obviously if she wasn't a part of the real estate company, then she wasn't getting the generous financing terms from the real estate company on her new $80,000 car. My uncle ran his credit and it looks like Aunt Jay had taken out 2 credit cards in his name and maxed them out. He thanks for the down payment on this car. So, not only was Aunt Jay screwing me over, she was in a roundabout way stealing the established name of a multi-million-dollar company, but she also committed identity theft against her own husband too. So now she's been exposed because she refused to pay me. My uncle is contacting divorce attorneys immediately and hopes he doesn't get taken down by the real estate company in case they decide to pursue real legal action against her. He's going to have a lawyer advise him on what to do about the identity theft. Aunt Jay is screwed. She should have just paid me.
Am I wrong for calling a guy's mom when I was trying to get him to leave me alone and stop guilting me? I had what I thought was a casual thing with this guy named Adam for a month or so. But last week I said that I was going to move to a new state and he got pretty upset and said that he wanted to be with me. I said that I wasn't really trying to be with anyone. I don't want to spend my 20s like that. And he started getting really manipulative, even saying he couldn't live without me. That made me angry. I told him, how the fuck did you get to 24 years old without me? How the fuck are you here now then? Wait, I'm gonna try it again. That made me angry. I told him, how the fuck did you get to 24 years old without me? How the fuck are you here now then? That's how I like picture her saying it, because that's how I would say it. He said he had been really struggling before he met me, and I was the first thing that made him feel hopeful. This honestly felt weird to me because we haven't been emotionally open with each other. I thought we were just having casual sex, and it felt uncomfortable that he was seeming to say his mental health depended on continuing to have sex with me. It felt coercive and gross, to be honest, like he was guilting me into continuing to sleep with him. So I called his mom, saying that I was worried about her son because I had a casual thing with him that I didn't think he was emotionally invested in and was about to leave for a new place. But he freaked out and said he couldn't live without me, and I felt worried that he would do something when I left. She seemed kind of weirded out that I was saying all of that. So to explain, I said that her son was telling me that if I left him, despite never being in a relationship with him, he couldn't go on, and I had to leave because I wasn't putting myself in that position of being with someone out of fear. So I needed her to check on him. She was like, alright, I'll check on him, but still kind of seemed weird on the phone. I moved to my new home, but afterwards I got this long, furious text from Adam because he found out I called his mom. But he is really angry I told her that he was implying he would do something if I left him because he had not said that. I replied to him saying, but that's literally what you said. And he told me he was just lashing out, being upset, and I didn't have to repeat it like it was serious. This manipulative piece of shit, see? Like, he was acting like that. This just shows that whole desperation act that these guys put on when you leave them. If you leave me, I'm gonna, it's all bullshit. I told him not to say stuff like that if it's not serious, and he got angry asking if I had never exaggerated something when I was upset. I didn't reply. I didn't want to get pulled in, honestly. So, am I the asshole for calling this guy's mom?
Am I the asshole for refusing to get a job and pay rent at my parents' house? I had my 18th birthday 3 days ago, and on the day after my birthday, my stepdad said he wants me to pay rent to live in his house. My stepdad is quite Christian and conservative, and I don't expect to live rent-free forever, but I know my stepdad is coming from a spiteful place. Him and my mom have had 2 kids and 9 years of marriage. I'm a reminder that my mom was a non-virgin divorced woman before him, so of course I'm treated like a guest and my mom is allowing it. Why? Because she thinks the sun shines out of his ass. He doesn't need my money to pay rent, plus I don't have much and he wants £100 per month. Am I the asshole for refusing to get a job and pay rent at my parents' house? My A-level exams start mid-April and last up to July. I'm doing STEM subjects and I'm hoping to fulfill my offer for a medical course at a good university. I'll need to do a lot of studying, and if I have to get a job, it'll be difficult to maintain the level of studying I need. Out in September. It honestly just feels vindictive, and it's not like I'm unproductive. I'm trying to save the money I had at my last job for when I do move out, and it just feels spiteful and like he's pushing me and making my life harder. My aunt, who isn't too fond of him, is saying he's being ridiculous and told me to come live with her. Took her offer, but my mom's crying.
Am I wrong for refusing to put my fiancé on the house title after he kept handing me empty pens as a prank? I, 34 female, have been with my fiancé, 37 male, for 3 years, getting married before the end of this year and recently moved in the house that I inherited from my mom. The house is in my name and it took a lot of talking and convincing from him to have his name on the title as well. Now, honestly, part of me doesn't think this is a good idea, at least not right now, maybe after marriage. But anyway, I've decided to go ahead and put his name on the title so he could go ahead and start contributing towards the mortgage more and lighten my burden a little bit. We've made appointments, decided on which form of ownership we were basing this on. When it was time for me to sign the deed, my fiancé stopped me and gave me a pen saying this pen was his lucky pen and told me to use it to sign the deed. I took it and tried to sign, but turned out it was empty. He was like, "Oh, I must have forgotten," while laughing, and then pulled out his other lucky pen. I took it, tried to sign, and that one too was empty. Honestly, seeing how he was laughing, I figured he was messing with me, but he swore he wasn't and pulled out another one of his lucky pens. I tried that one too, and it was empty. My fiancé started cackling, and I felt humiliated, especially with how the gentleman next to him was staring. I got pissed and asked him what that was about, and he said that it was a prank. I asked, "Really? Do you really think this was a time for a prank?" He was like, "It's alright, you can use a real pen now." I pushed the paper away and said, "You know what? Never mind, because I no longer want you on the deed." He lost it completely, saying we had a deal and I can't back out just like that, and that it was a stupid joke that I took too seriously. We had an argument and I refused to sign the deed, at least not then and there. At home, he blew up again, saying I was the one who delayed the process and that he already gave me a real pen and all I had to do was sign the damn paper and get it over with. He accused me of looking for an excuse not to have him on the deed and started the silent treatment, saying there's nothing to say until those papers are signed. Did I really take it too seriously?
I'm being honest, and like it's kind of a hard thing for me to admit, but I just feel like I've lost my spark a little bit. I would say I'm getting it back, but I would say for the past probably 2 years, I've kind of just lost my spark. And I did not really realize what was doing it until I went into therapy, and just let me just say it. There's a lot of toxic relationships in my life that I did not realize were toxic relationships. For like the past 2 years, I wasn't really realizing the reason I felt like drained or like I lost my spark or anything like that was because I had people around me who just kept bringing me down. I loved them so much that like I didn't really want to realize that as the truth. So now that I've realized that these relationships just like weren't serving me and stuff like that, I would almost argue it's a little bit worse. This is like kind of really hard for me to talk about, so I'm trying my best here. But and it's almost ironic because I preach about like what the damages can happen on your life if you let like a negative person in and you let them take your energy, and if you constantly are with like an energy vampire and stuff like that, how it truly affects your life. And that was happening right in front of my eyes. But I, to be honest, think that my nervous system was like in overdrive with like my OCD and my anxiety and everything, that I didn't even realize I was in toxic situations with people, because to be honest, I was just fighting to get through the day and not have like an insane OCD or an anxiety outburst. Now that I'm actively healing that part of myself, I've been able to take a step back and go, actually, these relationships are also not serving me. I'm at the point in these relationships where I almost just feel dumb, because I look back and I'm like, was I stupid? Why was I letting people treat me that way or say these negative things to me? Or why was I letting their limiting beliefs creep in on me and my mindset? But most importantly, like, why was I letting these people treat me that way? I'm trying not to be so mean to myself, but like, I'm almost disappointed in myself, to be honest with you. It weirdly almost feels like a secret that I've like kept from you guys. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm still uncomfortable. I don't know. I just almost feel like I have realized the past couple months that I haven't had my spark in a minute. Like I just haven't felt 1,000% myself. And I almost feel inauthentic posting without acknowledging something like this. Does that make any sense? Maybe I feel like I owe you guys too much. I don't know. I'm in the process of navigating what to do next, these relationships, everything like that. It's definitely sad. It's definitely lonely. It's definitely confusing. I'm confused as ever, but like I know it's something that needs to be done. If you're like seeing my videos and stuff and you're like, something seems off, it's because something is off. I mean, something is off. And so I know the next couple months will be like so much brighter and so much better, but and just like navigating that now, that is very difficult for me. So if you're also in a position like that I'm dealing with, that you didn't realize you were kind of like in a toxic relationship with people in your lives, you're not alone. And to be honest, I thought I was done with these. I thought I was done with these and I wouldn't have to deal with this ever again. But no, we're learning, we're growing, we're figuring it out. And I'm just figuring it out.
Am I wrong for pretending not to recognize my parents when they try to reconnect? I was raised mostly by my uncle and aunt. My older sister developed a serious illness when I was 6, and my parents decided that they couldn't care for both of us, I guess. So they kind of unceremoniously dumped me at my grandparents, and my uncle took me in. Like, didn't even explain to me what was going on. Just, you're going to visit Gran for a while, and never picked me back up. My grandparents and uncle explained it later, and they were pretty livid at my parents. I've seen my parents maybe 5 times since then, and not at all for the last 9 years. I decided to stop having contact with them when I was 12, and since I was the only one reaching out, all communication broke down. It turned out okay. I love my aunt and uncle, and it turns out that they can have kids, so they've always said I'm their miracle child. I was just misrouted by the stork at first. I was formally adopted by them when I turned 18. I wish it had been earlier, but there was some red tape things that would have made that really expensive and difficult. I'm 21 now. I am blown away by the fact that your parents literally gave up their 6-year-old child. My sister passed away between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I made a trip back from school for the funeral, but I stayed in the back and left before my bio parents could talk to me. They called my uncle to try to talk to me, but I said I didn't want to, so he told them that I wasn't available at the moment. They finally caught up to me over Christmas when I went to midnight mass with my grandma, and approached me and tried to give me a hug. I did recognize them, but I pretended not to and just backed off and said, "Sorry, do I know you?" They said, "We're your parents." And I said, "My parents are at home," and went and sat down with my grandma. They sat behind us and I could feel the stare. And on the way out, they were like, "You really don't recognize us?" And I said, "Oh, are you my dad's brother? I think I remember you from when I was little." My grandma thinks they deserved it, trying to come back to me like nothing happened. But they wrote me a long letter about how hurt they were and that I should understand that they were trying to do the right thing and how they'll always be my parents and I can't change that. Well, legally, you did. So there's that. Other family members think I was too harsh as they're grieving, but I don't think they should get a pass just because they remembered me now that my sister is gone. They are 100% remembering you now that your sister is gone.
Am I the asshole for telling my husband he knew what he was signing up for before he married me? My husband, 38 male, and I, 36 female, have recently got into a conflict over my closeness to my best friend, 36 female. I've known her since kindergarten, and we even went to the same college. After college, we moved into a nice one-bedroom apartment to save money. We quickly invested in a 3-bedroom and 2-bath house, and we renovated together. We've lived there for 5 years, and 4 years ago, I met my husband. After a few weeks, he met Anna, and over the 2 years we dated, we all hung out several times. He proposed and wanted us to move in together, but I didn't want to move out of my house into an apartment. Am I the asshole for telling my husband he knew what he was signing up for before he married me? He also couldn't afford the investment of getting a house together. I talked to Anna, and Rob moved in with us a couple months later. After we got married, he talked to me about how my friendship with Anna made him deeply uncomfortable. I'm very close with her, we've had some sleepovers and even go on little dates. Rob has never previously voiced discomfort with how we are despite knowing us for 4 years. I think he's only doing it now because I recently told him how Anna confessed her love for me when we first bought the house together. I told him this is what he signed up for, and if he had a problem, he should have told me years ago.
My mother-in-law's dying wish was for me to carry her baby. For me then to find out she was lying. She was diagnosed a few months ago with a terminal illness. This woman is only 51, okay? She is not like an old lady. Me and my husband, so her son, are kidless. We don't want kids. I don't really like this woman if you can't tell, but I did agree to carry her kid and be the surrogate. Everything was going smoothly. She was being exactly what I thought she would and overbearing. She wanted to come to every single scan. She was like hugging my stomach. Anyway, 7 months into this pregnancy, so I was basically giving birth at this point, I found out some information. And that is that my mother-in-law was not ill at all. Completely lies. I tell you, I was just so shocked. Like, even though I knew this woman was so capable of this, I still didn't think she would do it. For some reason, I still have decency towards this woman, so I actually didn't expose her in front of everyone, which I wanted to do. I just went to her one-on-one and said, look, no, you're completely lying to me. Why am I carrying your child when you are halfway through your life? And she basically did this really, like, villainy smile. Continue your end of the bargain as you agreed to do. I want a second chance. I would not have done this if this woman wasn't ill. I don't believe it's right. I don't want to carry a kid. That is the reason I'm not having children. So I've gone against my own wishes to fulfill this woman's. Don't really like. There is nothing legal I can do. Like, all the papers are signed. I can't do anything nearly 8 months into the pregnancy. I gave birth. This woman shows up to my room as soon as I give birth and the baby is like in the clear. Takes this baby and has not spoken to me nor my husband, who's her son, ever since. Not a text, no nothing. She really is crazy and I can't believe she's gotten away with this. That poor child.
Am I in the wrong for breaking up with my girlfriend over a glass of water? For context, I, 29 male, have been feeling taken for granted by my girlfriend, 24 female, for a while. We've argued about this and she seemed to be understanding and has been a bit more attentive since. Until last night. She was staying over at my place, was on her period and feeling a bit sick, so we watched a movie and went to sleep. In the middle of the night, say it was 1 a.m., she wakes me up and just says, water. I always make sure to say the words please and thank you to everyone, especially my loved ones, so it didn't really land well on me. Anyway, she claimed that her periods are pretty painful, and I prefer to assume that she was half asleep, so I went to the kitchen for a glass of water and brought it to her. As soon as she finished the water, she went back to sleep without even acknowledging my action. No thank you, no hug, no kiss, nothing. I got so pissed that I went to sleep to another room. This morning, she noticed that I hadn't slept with her and asked me if everything was okay. I told her why I was pretty upset, and I said that I love to take care of and serve my partner, but I expect a please, a thank you, or a gesture of appreciation. To be honest, I didn't think it was much of an issue and I was hoping to talk it out with her. But then, she immediately rolled her eyes and said, can't believe all of this over a fucking glass of water. That's the bare minimum I expect from my boyfriend. I won't explain the argument that followed, but I've decided to break up with her. I feel like my life would consist on serving her with no appreciation. We all make mistakes, but not being able to be accountable and apologizing is a deal breaker to me. I've told my close ones about my decision and most think that I'm overreacting. Only my parents have told me that I should be aware that this kind of behavior won't change with time, and it's definitely up to me to decide if I'm able to put up with it. So, am I in the wrong for breaking up with her?
We've had a dead bedroom for 8 years. I'm about to break up with my best friend when she thinks I'm going to propose in March. My partner, female 30, we'll call her Jay, and I, male 34, have been together for 9 years. We're in the middle of planning a trip to Japan, and the harder sides of the relationship have just gotten too much. We've had a dead bedroom for 8 years of the relationship due to some unfortunate circumstances, and then a lack of reconnection, even though I've tried so hard. She's my best friend, other than her ability to show me physical affection in the way that I need it. I have nothing else to complain about. She's better than me in every way. I'm so lucky to be with her otherwise. She fits into my life perfectly. She's able to be as bogan and down to earth as my extended family, but is elegant, intelligent, witty, and beautiful when with my parents and their friends who are quite well off. I love her family. I want her mom to be my mom. I've already asked her mom for her hand, and she was so excited. I've put on weight because I feel so physically unattractive, and there's no reason to try. I've worked on so much with myself to better who I am, make more effort around the house, do everything she's mentioned in couples counseling. I'm losing the best parts of my entire life, without doubt, but I'm just so physically lonely. I feel so selfish. I've moved away from my home for her, then moved back to her home for her. I've devoted myself to her. I just want sex and not to feel ashamed of myself for that. I can't do it before Christmas. I wouldn't do that to her, so I have to wait until after we get back. So I've got to go through a family holiday and Christmas knowing this. It just clicked today. I hate myself. Edit, so to be clear, the two traumatic experiences meant starting a new medication and a depressive episode which killed her libido. There was a cyst bursting requiring a laparoscopy and her father confessing he was cheating on her mom to her on Father's Day, then left it for her to tell her mom, which I helped her do and walked away once the conversation had started to give them privacy. We had fantastic sex before this happened. Edit 2, just to make sure, I've made this clear both in and out of couples therapy that this is something I need as a part of a relationship. I've begged her if she can't fix this to please just let me go. All of this over the last 7 years. Well, yeah, I mean, I get that. Especially if it's something that you've tried couples therapy, you've talked about it, you've let her know that this is a problem, this is an issue, and this is something, which I think that to anyone, unless you're like asexual and you're in an asexual relationship, I think 99% of relationships would know, like, oh, we have had a dead bedroom for 8 years.
Am I the asshole? I had my mother-in-law trespassed after she entered my home and fired my babysitter. I lost my wife, Anne, 34, just minutes after she gave birth to our first baby, Sammy. She had a difficult pregnancy, so I took an indefinite leave 3 months before she was due. Sammy's 4 months old now, and before I went back to work, I told my mother-in-law, Sandra, 56, about my plans and if she can recommend a nanny to take care of my daughter when I work. She offered to do it, nanny, that is, for free. I told her she's free to come by anytime during the day if she feels uncomfortable with a nanny looking after Sammy, but she insisted on doing it herself. So I said yes and gave her a copy of the house keys. Everything was fine for the first couple of weeks until I noticed that Sammy's not feeding as much. I asked Sandra about it and why Sammy's not feeding well. She said she's trying to breastfeed my daughter.
Wait, what? Mother-in-law?
Yeah. At first I thought she was joking. Then I realized she wasn't. She said Sammy needs to latch for a few minutes every day to activate her milk production. I almost lost it. I told her she cannot do that, and she needs to stop. She said she will, but I caught her again when I walked in my daughter's room and she was forcing Sammy to latch. I confronted her and told her she's no longer my baby's nanny. I didn't ask for the key back as she is still welcome to come visit anytime. I asked for a 1-week leave from work to care for my daughter and find a nanny. Found one, but 2 days after, she never returned. I called her and she said my mother fired her the day before. I asked her to describe the woman and I was livid when I realized it was Sandra. She came into my house using her key and fired my nanny. I was about to call her when she showed up and said a convoluted story like how I hired an incompetent nanny, etc., etc. I told her to leave, but she refused and told me she's calling CPS because I'm endangering my child. We argued back and forth before I called the police and she was charged with trespassing. I know my mother-in-law is grieving the loss of her daughter. I am too. But she crossed the line when she disregarded my wishes. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law are calling me ruthless, and I am now second-guessing myself. Am I the asshole?
Wow.
Nah. No. Poor grandma, trying to do the right thing maybe, but you have to recognize when you're out of line. And I would flip shit if I found out my mother-in-law was trying to breastfeed my kid. There's just a line, and that's a line I can't get behind.
That's a line.
I literally just Googled it as we were kind of talking here, and I was like, can a 56-year-old woman even produce breast milk?
That's also my question. I know nothing about this, So
according to Women's Health Today, a woman who is postmenopausal can still produce milk as long as you have a functioning pituitary gland.
It's all about the prolactin, and so if you stimulate the nipples enough, that'll get the prolactin going, and yeah.
Am I the asshole for not buying my daughter a new phone? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, 35 female, and my husband, 38 male, have 2 kids, a daughter, 13 female, and a son, 9 male. A few years ago, we had to move across the country because my husband got a new job that paid a lot more than his last job. It didn't really affect me because I run an online business, but it affected our kids a lot because they had to leave all of their friends, which is why we got them both phones. Before we gave them to them, we said that was the only phone we would buy, and if they wanted a new one, they would have to buy it. Our son was young and didn't understand, so we got him a cheap phone and we got our daughter a newer iPhone. As our son has gotten older, he has started to understand technology a lot more. And he started a small gaming circle with some of his friends, so we got him a laptop. But our son started saying how he wanted a phone like hers or better because he needed it for his gaming. I said if he wanted a new one, he would need to start saving like his sister was. He said he understood, but he wanted some money to help him start off, so we gave him some. A few months later, he started to ask about a new phone again because his sister was only $40 away from being able to get a new one. So we just gave her the money because we gave him money. Our son wasn't happy with this and he said it wasn't fair and he got really upset. When our daughter came out of her room and started to walk to the kitchen, he grabbed her phone from her and threw it down the hall, leaving a big green line on half of the screen. She almost cried and we grounded our son and made him give her the money that we gave him to start his saving. My daughter started to use her old phone again but asked if we could get her a new phone because he broke it and not her. I said I wouldn't buy her a new phone because it's not my fault it broke. She said that wasn't fair because she didn't break it and she was taking good care of her phone and he destroyed it. I still said I wouldn't buy her a new one. My husband said he thinks we should go half with her brother to buy her a new phone. But I said no.
I think my best friend's boyfriend is no good for her. Ah, a classic. A tale as old as time. Yeah, I feel like this is a pretty common secret.
Yeah, I wonder what is it about the boyfriend that makes him so trash. Like, I'm sure, to be honest, I'm sure there's something valid.
Okay, secret number 2. I slept with my uncle's best friend in their garden while his wife was in the other room.
Oh my, in the garden. There's so much to this that we need to unpack.
Yeah.
In the garden. How prickly, how uncomfortable.
I'm interested that was the part of that story that you picked up on. So it's the uncle's best friend and the uncle's best friend's wife is in the other room. So I don't really know the relationship between this person and their uncle's bestie.
Right. I'm kind of confused by the characters in this, but it sounds messy.
Sounds juicy
It sounds messy and juicy.
Okay, last secret. I found and read my current boyfriend's diary when we first got together. It's been 4+ years and he still doesn't know.
Oh my God. This is my favorite one yet of the 3. It's giving like I read my boyfriend's text, but like much more intimate.
Yeah, so intimate. I mean, this person must have liked what they saw in there because they're still together like 4 years later.
Exactly. Clearly he's, I don't know, not saying anything super problematic.
Yeah,
which I guess is a good thing. Oh my God, those were so juicy. Again, the last one. My fave. Speaking of juicy, you guys need to check out Go To Skincare's Juicy Gel. It is a gentle gel cleanser for anyone wanting very clean, very soft skin. Suitable for all skin types, Juicy Gel is an expert at removing impurities while keeping your skin barrier balanced and happy. Head to Go To Skincare to try it out. Big thank you to Go To's Juicy Gel for helping us spill these juicy secrets.
So she's 22, mixed race, African American, Latino, and Italian, and she has a child who is 7 months with her ex-boyfriend, who is 23, and he's Punjabi Indian of 2 years. We will call him John. When I found out that I was pregnant, John was really scared and asked me if I would consider adoption. I let him know that early on in a relationship that abortion is something I could never do. So we had a conversation about how things wouldn't be, and he let me know that our son would have to be kept a secret from his family. He would have been able to leave from work and come to appointments with me, but it was during COVID, so I would have been alone regardless. Later on in my pregnancy, John's father and uncle are the only people who knows about my son. When they found out, which was through one of John's ex-girlfriends 2 days before our baby shower paid for by John, John's father told him that he was assumed and that he would kill himself if anyone in the community found out about that black bitch's baby. Even went as far as saying that John was forbidden from seeing me or my son. So John didn't come to the shower and blamed me for having the shower and them finding out. For the month and a half after the shower, was gaslighted about posting my pregnancy on social media. I have complications at the end of my pregnancy due to stress. I was induced at 34 weeks. And I was in the hospital for 5 days, accompanied by my mother, who lived on the other side of the country and had to end up getting an emergency C-section. Oh my goodness. My baby had to be flown to a larger hospital because he was having too many complications. John came to see me that night and signed the birth certificate.
but didn't see him again until he was discharged 14 days later in the NICU. I was admitted to the same hospital as my son after passing out in the NICU, and I didn't get discharged until 4 days after my son. Disclaimer, John allowed me to stop working and enjoying my pregnancy because of the pandemic, and I lived in an apartment paid for by John 7 minutes away from him and his parents. John runs his own business and works really hard 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 9 to 9, and Sunday, 11 to 7. So when we were discharged, my younger sister had to come pick us up. John didn't come over to my apartment until 10:30 that night to meet our son and only stayed until 11:40. An hour and 10 minutes, okay, and has continued to only spend 1 hour with him Monday through Saturday. I'm really unhappy and I feel like I'm not in love anymore. How can I love him when I express my feelings? I'm constantly gaslighted with him saying, I told you how it would be, but I can't help but to feel lonely and cry every day. I think I'm suffering from postpartum depression, and he says that it's only because I sit in the house all day. I don't have much family in the area, so it's not really much that I can do. My mom even joins in with him saying that I'm a mom now and I need to put my big girl panties on and be grateful that you don't have to leave your baby and go to work. I understand we agreed that John's parents couldn't find out, but his father knows, and he's allowing someone else to control how much John is in our child's life. Before John's father found out, he would spend the night over, but now he's basically following his dad's rules. My great-grandfather died 2 months ago and is worried about how this relationship will affect me and easing my child. I can't help but to feel like he's up there saying, I got you, so. And I understand American isn't as old and traditional as Indian, but you raised your son around a lot of different ethnicities, so what did you think? What should I do? First of all, I feel for you and congrats on your baby, because I know that's hard, being a new mommy and all that stuff. Second of all, I don't know if it seems like you're still kind of trying to pursue a relationship with John, but I don't think that's necessarily going to work out, especially because his family doesn't accept you and he's following his family's rules. So y'all got to work out some type of co-parenting schedule. What I think, again, I'm not a mother, as y'all know, but I don't know. I just feel like you're selling yourself short by trying to continue to pursue a relationship with him, if that is what you're trying to pursue. I know you want him more in your child's life too, because spending 1 hour a day for 7 days a week, 7 hours a week, you're a mom 24/7. That's not fair. But he does work a lot. I like that he's making the effort, but y'all need to set up some type of schedule. I don't know if you're looking to get advice on your child or get advice on y'all's relationship, but I don't know, girl. But anyway, what do y'all think in the comments? This one was wild and I feel for you. Thank you for sending this in to me too. I really appreciate that. So yeah, let us know what y'all think in the comments, because she wants to hear she wants to hear y'all's opinions. All right, y'all.
Am I the asshole for not letting my 16-year-old daughter have my 10-year-old son's room? Disclaimer, this is not my story. We are in the process of moving into a new home. The house is more spacious than the old one but has limited rooms. It only has 3 rooms. My wife and I have 3 daughters, 16-year-old, 14-year-old, 12-year-old, and 1 son, 10 years old. The problem that has been tearing the family apart right now is that my 16-year-old daughter is refusing to share a room with her 2 sisters. She wants her 10-year-old brother's room. Her argument is that her brother is too young to have his own room and that she deserves more privacy and space since she's the oldest. The thing is, we as a family always give the boys their own rooms no matter the age, while the girls share a room together. This method has been proven to be working because girls naturally share while boys don't, and they fight a lot. My daughter threw a rage fit and had got my wife involved. My wife called me unreasonable for thinking it's fair to make the 3 girls share 1 room while our son gets an entire room for himself and he's the youngest. So he's the one with the least privacy. I told her it's been like this for years, and just because we're moving into a new home doesn't mean things have to change. My wife argued that moving our 12-year-old daughter with our 10-year-old son is the best compromise. But my son won't accept this, and I already know that. I want everyone to be happy and comfortable, and to my understanding, my daughter was fine with sharing a room with her sisters. My wife is still siding with our daughter and said that I should be careful because the girls are beginning to sense some favoritism towards my son. They're both not speaking to me and are acting somewhat hostile towards me.
I told my husband that he couldn't go to his little sister's wedding, and nothing could have prepared me for how insane everything was about to get. This girl is literally trying to ruin our lives, and I don't know what to do at this point. If you haven't seen the previous videos, go watch those and then come back here. But to catch everyone up, my husband's insanely possessive little sister decided that she was gonna try to ruin our honeymoon by planning her wedding to some stranger that she had just met on the same day that we were gonna go on our honeymoon. When I put my foot down and told my husband that, yeah, absolutely not, we are not gonna be out a ton of money because his little sister decided that she wanted to be toxic and ruin our trip, he said that I could just go on the first few days of the honeymoon alone and he would meet up with me later. But without him knowing, I changed all the accommodations for our honeymoon to be my best friend, and I just made it so that he couldn't go on the trip at all. But I'm shocked when I get back and I find out that my husband's not mad at me for booting him from the trip and blocking him for a week. Instead, he's super apologetic because it turns out this whole wedding, it was fake. His sister did this whole thing to just try and ruin our honeymoon. My husband and I had a very long talk about this whole situation, about establishing boundaries, about what needed to change. And I know everyone was yelling, divorce him, boot him, kick him to the curb. But I took vows. This is my husband. This is not my boyfriend of 6 months, okay? So I did want to try and make this marriage work. And if he was willing to put up boundaries and make changes, I needed to at least try and give him the benefit of the doubt, try and make this work. My husband ended up sending a very long, detailed message in his family group chat that said he was very disappointed in the situation that happened, and he knows that he didn't handle things correctly, but nobody in his family did, and that he wouldn't tolerate any of those kind of behaviors going forward. And if anything, even slightly like what happened with this fake wedding happened again, he would not hesitate to go no contact because he wanted to prioritize his wife and his marriage. And to my surprise, this message was received extremely well. Almost every single member of his family reached out to me individually to apologize and say that they knew they were in the wrong and that this would never happen again. But you know who I didn't hear anything from for days? Yeah, that's right, my husband's little sister. Shocker. I wasn't upset that I didn't hear from his little sister. Honestly, it was nice to not hear from her. And for 48 hours, things were extremely peaceful in our household until she did decide to send me a text. She apologized for taking a while to reach out, but she said that she wanted to figure out the right way to address this issue with me. Not the issue of her trying to ruin our honeymoon and fake the wedding, but the issue that before I forgive my husband, I need to know the truth. And that's while I was on our honeymoon without him, he was cheating on me. My immediate reaction is that this is clearly a lie because the girl is toxic and she's gonna try to do anything to ruin my marriage. But when she sends me the evidence, I'm not so sure. My husband's little sister sends text messages that are between my husband and one of his little sister's best friends from the day of the wedding and the few days following it. In these messages, my husband was basically saying that he wanted to have an affair with this girl and that it wasn't even going to really be an affair because we were going to get a divorce anyway, that I had gone on this honeymoon without him and brought my best friend and I was going to come back and want a divorce. So what was the point in not cheating on me because our marriage was already over? Then there were texts that were coordinating when they were going to actually meet up, and then texts that were obviously sent right after he did cheat on me saying how much fun he had, and she said that she wanted to wait until we were officially divorced to actually try and pursue a real relationship with him. In most cases, I would have immediately thought that these texts were fake and not given them a second thought because of how toxic his little sister is. But as I'm reading through these texts, they sound exactly like how my husband texts. I know this man so well, and the things that he was saying, they just sounded exactly like him. And I thought it would be really difficult to try and fake those texts and recreate it so similarly to how he actually texts. But what really started to convince me is that his little sister actually had her friend give me a call and confirm that all this happened. She said that she felt really guilty about the whole situation, and now that she knows that we're not getting a divorce and that we are trying to make it work, she wanted to come clean and tell me that the affair happened. Because even if his little sister is absolutely horrible, what is the likelihood that she has an equally as horrible friend that would be willing to lie and ruin a marriage of people that she doesn't even know? So obviously I sit my husband down, I show him all the messages, everything that his sister had sent me, and I asked him for the truth. I said, did this happen? What is going on? My husband reads everything through and just looks so confused. And he looks at me and he's like, this isn't true. I know it looks really bad, but this never happened. And I told him that I want to believe him, but just based on the state of our marriage right now, we are not in the best place trust-wise. So he could understand why I'm just not fully convinced that he didn't have this affair. Then he tells me he's gonna do whatever he needs to do to prove to me that there was no affair, and then he just leaves. He leaves the house. I am there alone, not knowing what to do, upset, and very confused about where my husband even went. Finally, after hours of me having no idea what was going on, my husband comes back. He has a giant stack of papers and he puts his phone down right in front of me. He said, "You have full access to it, and I have as much proof as I could get that this affair never happened." Obviously, I didn't find anything on his phone, but that didn't prove anything because he could have deleted it. But next, he shows me all of the phone records he was able to get from our phone company, and there was no calls or anything between him and this girl. But what really proved my husband's case is that he went to his company's office and asked for security footage of the exact times that this affair supposedly happened. At the exact time my husband was supposed to be having an affair with this girl, he was at work. The camera timestamp clearly showed that. And when you looked at the exact time that messages from my husband were supposed to have been sent to this girl, you could see him working not on his phone. He could not have sent those messages. That was clear. So at this point, I am 100% confident that my husband did not cheat on me, and all of these messages were fake between his sister and this girl. And I honestly felt really stupid for even believing it for a second, because of course they were fake, but they seemed so real. And this girl that spoke to me on the phone, she was convincing. She's a great liar. My husband calls his little sister. He's extremely angry, and he tells her that he's going no contact, that he no longer wants a relationship with her, and that they're done. Everything is done between the two of them, and that this was unforgivable. Then he called his entire family and told them what happened, and said that if there were any family events his sister was going to be at, that he would not be in attendance because he didn't even want to see her in group settings anymore. And if you thought this was going to be the end of it and she was just going to accept his boundary and admit to the fact that, she went too far and she ruined the relationship, of course not. Of course she didn't do that. She did something far crazier. If you want to know the extent that this girl went to try and ruin my husband's life, let me know and I can update you.
Am I the arsehole for asking my boyfriend to cut off his 2 girl best friends after he repeatedly chose them over me? Story time. Now, I have been in a relationship with my boyfriend, Steve, for a few years now. And in that time, I have had repeated issues with 2 girls called Amy and Stacey. From the start of Steve and I dating, Amy made it very clear she was not happy with us being together. She even told Steve that if he carried on speaking to me, she would not be happy at all. On the 2 holidays we had, things escalated drastically. Amy, on a night out, twerked on him and gave him a lap dance, and I caught Steve on multiple occasions staring at Amy's ass. When I later brought this up to Steve, he accused me of being toxic. I saw messages of Amy bitching about me, and Steve just went along with it. He never spoke up for me, he never said anything or stepped in to stop it. Amy even went as far as to make up lies about me, told Steve's mum, which resulted in Steve's mum then not liking me. I later asked Steve if he wouldn't mind, cutting contact with Amy for a little bit just to make life easier. He agreed, but then continued to talk to her anyway. And then there's Stacey. One of the most hurtful moments happened at a funeral, in which Stacey asked Steve if he thought she was pretty. Steve said yes. To which Stacey then said, "Well, would you date me?" And he didn't say anything, and he didn't even shut it down. I was embarrassed, I was disrespected, I was mortified. And in such a sensitive setting as well, there were many occasions where I caught Steve saving Snapchats from girls, which we all know how I feel about Snapchat. One of which was Stacey. And as if all of this wasn't horrific enough, then came the festival, which really broke me. Now, apparently, Steve's mum said that she didn't want him to get the train, so he would have to drive with Stacey instead. He promised me as soon as we got to the festival, he would meet up with me. As soon as I found him, he walked away from me to stand with Stacey. The whole time he was always with her. He never once spoke to me. He didn't come and check on me. And then in the group chat, all the girls were like, you should have got with that girl that you met at Park Life, Steve. And because of all of this, I wasn't very comfortable with Steve going on holiday with Stacey. I'm sorry, I'm laughing reading this out because what the actual he just couldn't get his head round why, so I had to explain it to him. I wasn't trying to control him, I was trying to protect my mental health. Steve went anyway. So all in all, in this situation, I just don't feel like a first choice at all. So what do you guys think? Am I wrong for setting boundaries here? Or am I just reacting to a pattern of behaviour that would make anyone feel uncomfortable?
Am I wrong for treating this as breakup worthy? Partner intentionally hid my laptop out of spite. Some context, my partner, late 20 female, and I, late 20 female, have been together 7 years. We've had periods of breaking up and getting back together. We recently moved in together after a long period of what felt like stability and growth, but since the moving process and moving in, there's been a lot of strife and fighting. Some of it old problems coming back up and some of it new issues. One recurring problem is my partner struggles with organization and will put her things, such as clothes, accessories, etc., in piles in a specific but non-designated place for those things. For example, putting a pile of clothes and jewelry on the couch or entry table when I or she accidentally moves these items, usually due to needing to use that space for its intended purpose or some other purpose, it becomes a huge problem. She gets frustrated and overwhelmed quickly, has wanted me to drop what I'm doing to look for it, with an undercurrent of it being my fault it's misplaced and my responsibility to find it, which makes me not want to help anymore. And half the time it ends up in a fight. It's exhausting. We're still in the process of unpacking and settling in right now, and one of our bathrooms is filled with storage. She put a stack of her clothes, including a hat, on top of the storage items. I needed to get to those items to organize the house, and I did my best to put her things together. I don't recall moving the hat. Cue breakfast time. We're having a fine morning. Chatting and everything is good. She's getting dressed and goes to get her hat, which is not where she remembers putting it. Immediately, she's upset with me, telling me I need to stop touching her stuff and how I always do this and how she's agitated and frustrated. I tell her calmly but firmly that I have no intention of moving her things, but if I need to get to the storage, I will simply have to touch her stuff, and that it probably fell behind some things and need to keep looking because I know she'll find it. She didn't want to hear that. She became increasingly more upset talking to me, stormed around criticizing me instead of actively looking, and I lost my patience and left on a walk in the middle of her talking. Fast forward that afternoon. Partner is not home. I'm looking around for my laptop. I have finals due the next day, and I need to start working. Keep in mind I do have another laptop that I just bought to replace my old one, but I hadn't set it up yet. And to manage my fickle ADHD motivation, I was going to use setting up my computer as a reward for completing my finals on my old laptop. I can't find my laptop anywhere. It's not in the place I always leave it. My gut immediately says that she took it or moved it, but I decide to look around first and make sure that I didn't miss anything. I look everywhere. I text her, "Did you take my laptop with you?" She takes a while to text back, "No, I don't have your laptop." I ask if she's seen it and she can check her iCloud since it used to be connected. She said, "No, it's been disconnected for a while." I text again, "Okay, so have you seen it?" No reply. I'm now 95% convinced that she's lying to me, but I didn't want to believe that she would actually do this. She comes home in the evening. I ask about my laptop. She sits on the couch not looking at me, focusing on something else while I'm asking to talk to her about it. Am I wrong for treating this as breakup worthy? Partner intentionally hid my laptop out of spite. She chortles at my suggestion that the only other logical option, if you don't have it and it's not in the apartment, is that it's stolen. We live in a building. I keep pressing her. She says offhandedly, "I don't know. Did you check the closet?" She walks over to the closet to put away her jacket, and I walk over to watch her, suspecting that she would pull it out of her bag or something. I didn't see her move anything, and I ask, "Why would you suggest that closet specifically?" This goes on for a few more minutes with her smiling smugly and snickering, and I'm getting increasingly upset. She's telling me she's too busy to help me find my laptop by answering my questions. Finally, I walk over to the closet, the tiniest piece of doubt, wondering if maybe I didn't check it fully. And lo and behold, it's sitting right there on top of some jackets. The same jackets I completely pulled out of the closet while digging through to find my laptop. It wasn't there before. I absolutely lose it. I'm livid. I'm yelling at her that she's weird and that was cruel and disgusting behavior. I tell her I don't want to be in a relationship with her and I do not want to be in a relationship like this. Once I say that, she doubles down since I broke up with her and just proceeds to dismiss that it's just a computer and it's not that serious, and was attempting to still make it seem like it was there in the closet the whole time. Turns out she hid it on a top shelf, the only place in this entire apartment I didn't check. She still has not apologized and said that she has no reason to since we're broken up. Her response in the whole situation made me feel sick to my stomach. I absolutely hate pranks. She knows this, and this wasn't even a prank. She basically admitted to doing this because she was pissed at me for losing her hat. Mind you, I found her damn hat while looking for my laptop, exactly where I said it would be. This feels extremely serious to me. It doesn't feel like a petty little act. It feels disrespectful, like a breach of my privacy and our shared space, and genuinely cruel. I told her I don't think you can care for someone and love them and then do something like this. Intentionally cause them distress, confusion, and harm. I cannot fathom how she thought that this would play out. The whole process of breaking up is daunting, and I historically have not been good at maintaining my boundaries. And my resolve when breaking up in the past, I initiated, but we were both expressing unhappiness. We live together now, and while the apartment is spacious, it is challenging to split up rooms, only one bed, and the other room is still being used as storage. and finding a new apartment is even more challenging with financial constraints, having just moved so recently. I've been feeling a lot of frustration with our dynamics aside from the situation, as has she. I love her a lot, but I'm at my wit's end. I don't know if things will get better or if we're doomed. We've tried couples counseling again recently and it didn't go well. Partner was shut down and didn't like the therapist. Our communication is not improving. I need advice on how to move forward in this situation. Okay, so this is toxic. This is a toxic relationship.
Am I in the wrong for walking away from a house that I have no equity or say in and stiffing my soon-to-be ex? Before we got married, my in-laws sat me down and explained that I was never going to be on any paperwork for the house that they helped my fiancé purchase as a wedding gift. They insisted on an ironclad prenup. I got a lawyer and made sure I was protected as well. After we got married, I contributed to the expenses of our household 50-50, mortgage and everything. It was a little more than I paid in rent and utilities, but I figured we were building a future together. I make a decent living as a welder and do not own a lot of stuff. I have a truck, a welding lid, a laptop, and some clothes. Before I met my wife, I lived at Airbnbs and all-inclusive resorts. I work 4 weeks on and get 2 weeks off. It didn't make sense to rent a house that could sit empty for a month at a time. I have helped my wife upgrade, renovate, and furnish the house. I'll give an example. We bought a very nice sectional. I paid for half up front by giving my wife the money. She then bought it on her credit card to get the points. After that, it wasn't my problem anymore. I recently found out that she's been seeing her ex when I'm out of town. I do not play that game. I will never compete for a woman and I do not forgive cheating. So the last time I came home from work, I stayed at an Airbnb. I took the time to see a lawyer and initiate our divorce. When my time off was done, I went back to work. My next break is after the new year and I'll be going to an all-inclusive. Neither this last time or from now on did I ever or will I ever be giving her any money. The problem is that she didn't use the money I gave her to pay down the mortgage or the credit card bill. She blew it on other stuff. So now she's in a bind. My money made her lifestyle possible. By just leaving and not engaging, she is kind of screwed. But there's nothing there for me anymore. We don't even have a dog like I wanted because she would have had to care for him while I was away. So all I left behind was a suit I only bought for our wedding, some gym clothes, and my dress shoes, once again, for the wedding. She, her family, and her friends are all over me to help her during the divorce. I have no obligation to do so though, and after our divorce even less so. I can literally live out of my suitcase and my backpack. My only living expense beyond housing is long-term parking for my truck. But even my mom thinks that I'm screwing her over and punishing her too harshly. I personally cannot believe that my mom would take her side, but my parents' divorce was really antagonistic and their inability to communicate led to both of them being much worse off than if they cooperated and ended things amicably. So, am I in the wrong?
I made a comment to my ex-husband when he signed our divorce, and his girlfriend now accuses me of being the reason he didn't propose to her on Christmas. Hello and Happy New Year. My ex-husband and I, both late 40s, were a real love story for 17 years. He was my world and I loved everything about him. I thought he loved me too, but about 2 years ago, for about 2 months, he was changed. The change was so palpable, I knew it in my heart that it was another woman. He stopped kissing me good morning or good night, stopped asking me on dates, and always declined when I did. He didn't doze off with his head on my lap to a movie every evening, always missing the end. Now he even sat on the other couch. He stopped saying he loved me and stopped texting me during the day. I didn't know what to do other than wait and see. And sure enough, about 2 months later, he told me he was in love and wanted a divorce. I was heartbroken, but I couldn't do anything about it. I would never beg someone to love me, no matter how much I loved them. He moved out and started with the divorce. His new girlfriend, early 30s, moved in with him not long after. My ex-husband is very successful, and our divorce was finalized a couple of weeks ago. I haven't seen my ex-husband much since he moved out. I don't know what got into me. I have kept civil and prideful during the separation. I was surprised that he was with his lawyer because I thought that he just signed and didn't need to be there. I signed, and then I looked at him for the first time in 2 years. And just without giving myself the time to stop and keep my dignity, I smiled and said that now he lost the last woman who he would know for sure ever loved him and saw him for him and not for his money or assets. He was smiling at first, probably relieved that I finally was able to look at him again. He complained to our son that I never looked at him anymore. His smile faltered and turned into shock. Then he started crying. I was terrified of what I did and just left, almost running. I got a text from his girlfriend this morning with many insults about me, my character, my looks, and my age, because he was supposed to have proposed on Christmas with all family present, but he didn't. He now refuses to talk about it with her or any of her family, and she means that it is all my fault. I ruined their relationship. I blocked her, but I can't help but wonder if I really did ruin their relationship. I even wonder if I care. All I know is that he looks so old and pathetic. I wonder if I ever really knew him or loved him.
Am I wrong for ruining Christmas and being upset that the only gifts I got for my family were joke gifts? For some background, my family likes to play pranks with Christmas and birthday gifts. It's nothing new. I, female 21, as well as my 5 siblings from 29 to 37, have all been pranked on our birthdays and Christmas, but it's usually 1 to 2 gifts. This Christmas, though, I was the only person to get all joke gifts. For example, I unwrapped a MacBook from my brother, but when I opened it, it was just chocolate, which I don't eat, so I gave it away. The real MacBook was actually given to my sister inside a bag she wanted. Another gift was what I thought was a book I put on my Christmas list, but it was just a book cover put on a dictionary. And when I asked my mom about the book, she told me she gave it to my sister-in-law. This went on and on with each present my siblings or parents had given me. AirPods was just a charger block, adapter, gift cards were used and had a $0 balance, a card with Monopoly money, and so on, totaling about 12 joke gifts. I went out of my way to get everybody something they wanted or they'd like, and I didn't get anything. At this point, I was bummed, so I went to the living room to watch TV with my boyfriend. At dinner, they all talked about their gifts and how much they loved them, and my dad asked why I didn't say anything about mine. I said there wasn't much to say, and everybody but my boyfriend laughed, and my mom said it was no big deal as everybody's got some joke gifts. But I responded that all my gifts were joke gifts, and that's when my dad told me to relax and there's always next Christmas. Not wanting to argue, I told my boyfriend I wanted to leave and we can spend the rest of Christmas break with his family.
Am I in the wrong for not wanting to share my birthday with my dead twin anymore? I, 16 female here, soon to be 17 in 3 days. I was a twin. My brother died hours after birth. He was 5 minutes older than me. I was told my mother went into deep depression, but with help got better over time. I've watched videos of my birthdays from 1 to 6 years old, and me sharing my birthday with my brother has started since my first birthday. There's always that 5 minutes of remembrance and honor for him, and instead of having one candle on my cake, there will always be extra or extras for him. As a kid, I didn't really understand or mind it because I got to blow out extra candles. When I was 8, I did question it, and they told me that it was in remembrance of my brother since we share the same birthday. This carried on until my 16th, that I didn't get to celebrate because I ended up being in the hospital. My grandpa showed up at the hospital while I was recovering and wished me and only me a happy birthday. After he left, I realized I love that he only acknowledged me. I realized I didn't want to keep sharing my birthday with my brother, but then I felt guilty. I did try to speak to my parents about just me celebrating my birthday this year, but I was brushed off. Now we come to what happened 4 days ago, and my grandpa, who was the official cake maker in the family, asked what type of cake I wanted. I told him and added firmly with only 17 candles, please. My parents were in the next room, and immediately they came in demanding to know what I was doing. That I should know that the other 17 candles were there for my brother, and I ended up crying and told them that he's not even here and I am. I can't remember everything that was said, but there was a lot of shouting with me and my parents and my grandpa, and me being told that I'm selfish and need to stop being self-centered. My grandpa left with me. I've been at his house since the big fight. I've been crying a lot and grandpa has been here for me, but I feel so guilty and need to ask, am I in the wrong? I've hurt my wife deeply and I need help fixing it. I'm 21 male and my wife 22 female have been together since we were in middle school. We have loved each other unconditionally the entire time, but I've been slowly slipping and screwing up time after time, and I need help to fix this and build our relationship back to what it was before, but make it stronger and better. Here are the biggest things that happened to lead us to now. We talked about a push present for when my son was born, but I didn't get her anything for it, even after she expressed wanting one, and I had told her that I'd get her something. In my defense, I was about to be deployed, so it was a lot going on, but still, it was our first child and she didn't want anything big, just something that showed I cared for her and loved her. I told her that I'd make it up to her and never did. First Mother's Day, she celebrated as a new mom. I didn't do any decorations, and I got her only a bakeware pan that was ship broken. She liked the dish, but it was broken. I told her that I'd return it for a new one, and I never did. I told her that I'd make it up to her, and never did. She gave me a very intimate gift for Valentine's Day, and I showed little to no reaction. We were already having a few issues in bed due to ED caused by stress and anxiety, so she was trying to help by giving me a sexy photo book that she put a lot of effort into. I told her that I'd make it up to her, and never did. Then, more recently, we had a date planned for lunch on the day that I had off. She would be out of work for lunch around 12 to 12:30. I went to a card shop about 20 minutes away from her work thinking that I was right down the road. We recently moved, so I was confused, but still. Well, she was so happy to see me and go on this date just to walk outside and realize I wasn't there and wouldn't be there for another 20 minutes. I told her that I'd make it up to her, and never did. If you haven't noticed the pattern yet, I have a problem with saying I'll make it up to her and then dropping the ball over and over again after dropping the ball on major things. I don't want to lose my wife because of the broken promises and selfishness. The straw that broke the camel's back, though, was New Year's actually. We planned on spending time together for New Year's, and instead, I was selfish and played online with my cousins for hours, which ate away at our time together. Then when she expressed she was upset about it, I didn't even try to talk to her about it. I pretty much just shrugged and tried to move past it. Then we just went to get ready for bed. Missed the clock turning to midnight, no kiss or anything, just let it pass. I let my wife go into New Year upset and questioning if I truly loved her or if I was with her for convenience. I love that woman more than I can express in any conceivable manner. I would do anything for her. I would hike the tallest mountain just to get her the flower that she wants at the top that only grows there. I would give her the clothes on my back and the breath in my lungs to make sure that she was comfortable and could breathe. She's an absolute angel. She's given me every chance every time. She's the smartest, sweetest, most beautiful, amazing woman that I've ever known. She still gives me butterflies when I look at her, when I think of her, when I kiss her. She loves me and shows me how much she loves me. I never questioned our love, and I cannot ever forgive myself for making her question mine. Why do I keep messing up and hurting us both? I need help. How do I fix this? I never want her to question my love for her or our relationship again. I feel like I'm losing the love of my life. She's perfect in my eyes, my dream girl. I don't want to lose her. I can't lose her.
I, 28 female, have been with my fiance Adam since teenage years. We began dating. I met his best friend Nicole. Ooh, Nicole, female. Since I met her, nothing but red flags. The whole time she flirted with Adam, ignored me. And to be honest, I was mad with Adam that night too because he never took any action to introduce me. I have bad social anxiety and autism and need help in new things. And Adam knew this since day one. Shame on Adam. Number one, it got even worse when it became evident that Nicole was a huge racist. I am white and so is Adam, but my best friend is black, so that is not okay with me. It should not be okay with you anyway. But anyway, after that night, Adam was talking about having a get-together with everyone, me, Nicole, and my friend. And I broke down and told Adam how I felt and why I was upset, and he didn't say anything. He was very apologetic, and I have not had direct contact with Nicole since then, but she still talks with Adam. Now, Adam and I are getting married next fall. Last week, he explained that Nicole reached out to him about the wedding since he announced it on Facebook. She asked if the invites have been sent yet, and Adam told her the truth and that she hadn't gotten one because she's not coming or because I am not okay with her coming. That's already an issue too. She got very upset and was using pretty much any insult she could about me over text and said I had no real reason to dislike her. Hold up, y'all. I talked to my maid of honor, Cam, 27 female, and Cam told me that the reason I disliked her was valid. She told me to reach out to Nicole myself and set the record straight. Cam is the friend that I mentioned before, the black friend, y'all. So I messaged her and told her the truth. And then when we were still teens, she disrespected my relationship by openly flirting with him in front of me many times and by refusing to accept that I existed for months. And to top it all off, I said that my maid of honor and I were simply not okay with her racism. And I told her that until she apologizes for her actions, recent or not, she will not be getting any invites to this wedding in the mail. She left me on scene. Sis was like, bump all that. But I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to do a part 2. It's going to be quick, though. It's already going to be up late. Look. Next day, Adam was pissed with me. When asked why, he said that Nicole was in his DMs telling him how I'm a hateful bitch and that I'm jealous. And I've known Adam for less time than her. She's sent him forged SS's or screenshots of me saying some nasty things that were never actually said. And during the whole combo, I was nothing but civil through my petty spirit. Though my petty spirit wanted to say other things, after I calmed down and showed him the real combo, he moved his anger to Nicole, but still told me that I should consider her for the wedding because she's his friend and would feel weird without her. I'm not gonna lie, I did laugh because I was in shock that despite her clear as day hatred of both me and my maid of honor, he is still defending her. I told him after her behavior, she clearly has no intentions on changing, and at this point, she's not getting invited, whether she apologizes or not. I'm sorry, but his friend can't come. He's been giving me the silent treatment and only speaks when needed since. Am I the asshole? Sis, no, because I'm side-eyeing Adam's ass. Adam don't seem like either he don't have a backbone or he just don't seem like, I don't know. I just like, why is he okay with all the things she does? Like, I'm pretty sure he sees it too. And to me, that means he's a problem. 2, I feel like either they messed around in the past or during, I don't want to say during, but sis a little bit too invested in this man for me, because why was she doing all that and lying so hard as if you wouldn't show him the real screenshots? Like,
Right, so the other day I blocked my best friend of 10 years for no apparent reason. I want to know if I'm in the wrong here. Speaking on technicality, there was nothing wrong with our relationship. There was no big argument, no drama. However, obviously we became friends just at such a young age. Just some stuff that now in my adult life just didn't sit right with me. I tell you, I'm always the person to reach out first with this girl. I actually did a little experiment this time last year. I didn't message first and we didn't speak for 7.5 weeks. And this is my best friend. Like, honestly, we're like this. Had to be one up as well. Like, I got engaged and suddenly she's buying a new house. Actually, on the date of our engagement party, I made the whole day about her because she also decided to go traveling. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that this was a little bit tricky because she didn't do anything for me to like cut her off technically. She was just so exhausting to be around and I really didn't want her in my life anymore. I decided to take quite like a slow approach. Like, I stopped messaging as much. However, of course, this girl suddenly got good on her phone when she realized our friendship started to like drift apart. Actually, she kind of said like, I've noticed you've stopped messaging me as much. Like, have I done something? Yada, yada, yada. I was like, oh no, you know, I just bad on my phone all of a sudden. And the other day I kind of just had enough of this, so I literally just unfollowed her on everything. Over the past 2 days she has been trying to call me, obviously, but I'm just not ready for that conversation, so I've been ignoring the call. And I don't know, I need to know if I'm in the wrong here because my fiance thinks I've been a little bit harsh.
Am I overreacting? My reply to my mom, who wants to stop my leukemia treatment so my sister can afford university.
This is even more fucked up than it feels. This is insanity.
I have leukemia. It's been a few months since I started treatment and it's been rough, but I'm still fighting. Yesterday, my mom texted me basically saying she can't afford both my treatment and my sister's future. My sister wants to go to Dartmouth. She even quoted a super fucked up Bible verse about sacrifice, John 15:13, and said that, quote, greater love is laying down one's life for someone else.
Wow.
Then she said I should, quote, be practical.
Wow.
Because my condition is worsening, and that I should, quote, consider sacrificing myself for my sister's dreams. What really broke me was that she said realistically, she's the one who will choose where the money goes. She also mentioned she talked to Jesus about it, and that's why she sent me the message.
Okay. Yeah.
A few months ago, she had me sign a contract about financial stuff, quote, for medical security to repay her when I got better. I low-key thought it was a joke at first, but realized, no, it's not. It's fucked up is what it is. She's always prioritized my sister, but this is unreal. Am I overreacting, or is this as fucked up as it feels?
That's sickening. This woman needs to be
Publicly shamed.
Yeah, like
Genuinely.
I think that's what Jesus would want. I just spoke with him just now. This just in. He said he would like for the mother to be publicly shamed. Sorry, I didn't make the rules. He did.
Little story is that my maid of honor just got back off my honeymoon with my husband and they are now engaged. I had the whole of my wedding planned. Me and my husband or fiance were very, very happy. But when I tell you about a month leading up to the wedding, I just saw some behavior like I've never seen before from my fiance. I don't know, things really started to change between us for the worse. It got to our wedding day and I just decided to back out. It was all way too much for me. I knew it wasn't the correct decision and I just weren't going to put myself through that. I did kind of make a little mistake and I kind of like ran from the wedding. I didn't really tell many people I weren't showing up and it was actually a really weird feeling because I did feel bad for kind of like ditching my fiance at the altar, but at the same time, stuff he was doing and the way he was acting, not okay with it. Obviously, I was a little traumatized from the whole process. I decided to take just a little like break from my fiance. I did let him know I was okay, but that's the only communication we had for about 2.5 weeks. I then got back in touch with him just to kind of say like, do you want your ring back? Like we should talk as well. I don't know. I've never done it before. How does this work? So I did meet back up with my husband, fiance, whatever we're gonna call him. And that's when he told me that he had already been on our honeymoon, which fair enough, whatever. I weren't going to go and we've already paid for it. But he went with my maid of honor. As I said, I detached myself from everybody. Didn't speak to my mum, my family, my maid of honor. 2.5 weeks. Okay, I was just so ready like to not speak to anyone. So I had quite a few questions at this point, and this is when he said that the ring I'm giving him is actually going to my maid of honor. Apparently they hit it off on the honeymoon. Great for them. And now they're engaged. And he actually thanked me because he agreed that this wasn't working and wasn't right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty speechless as well.
My sister-in-law went to unbelievable lengths to try and ruin my wedding. Y'all gotta hear about it. I just told y'all how my husband's little sister is currently trying to ruin our honeymoon. You can go watch that video here. But what she did during our wedding, honestly, way worse. The issues with the wedding actually began when we announced our engagement. She ran out of the room crying, like sobbing because she was so upset. She said that she felt like she was going to lose her big brother. Okay, like cry to your pillow, not in the middle of an engagement announcement. There was absolutely no time for anyone to congratulate us because they were too busy comforting her. The next big issue is when she found out that I wasn't gonna ask her to be a bridesmaid. She absolutely lost her mind about that. I got so many texts from all members of my husband's family trying to get me to reconsider, but no. I knew how she would be and didn't want her around me on my wedding day. And at every single event leading up to the wedding, like engagement parties or the rehearsal dinner, she was making everything about herself, constantly throwing temper tantrums. It was a mess. Because I know this girl, I was already prepared for her to try and make our wedding day about herself, but nothing could have prepared me for the lengths that she went to. Everything was pretty peaceful the day of my wedding until guests started arriving, and that's when my maid of honor bursts into the room we're getting ready in, and she looks so flustered. I was like, what's going on? And she tells me his little sister's in white. My maid of honor had gotten a picture of her in the dress, and yeah, it was a floor-length cream. I will give her that. It was off-white, but it was covered in lace and sparkles, and it very much looked like a wedding dress. My maid of honor had already asked her to change, and of course, my sister-in-law was like, no, I got this dress specifically for this wedding. You're so dramatic, blah, blah, blah. The next thought that my maid of honor had was, do I spill something on it? Do I just get a bottle of wine and dump it all over the dress? My initial thought was to say, absolutely do it, but then I thought about it, and I realized that if this happened, his little sister would throw the biggest temper tantrum and it would probably ruin the entire day because she wouldn't stop screaming about it. So whatever, I just realized that she was the one that was gonna look stupid wearing this dress, not me, and I just needed to let it go. It wasn't the end of the world. But obviously this was not the only thing she did to try to ruin the wedding, because as I'm walking down the aisle, I'm walking past his little sister, and as I pass her, I feel like a tug on my dress and I hear a rip. I look down, her foot is on the train of my dress, and as I take in a step, it ripped. I make eye contact with her and she's mouthing like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, like, my bad. And I mean, she has a smile on her face. It was clearly on purpose. Feels like she's trying to hold back a laugh, but I just smile at her, try not to have a reaction because I am walking down the aisle to get married. But that wasn't enough for her to try and ruin the ceremony, because as I'm in the middle of my vows, talking about how much I love my husband, out of the corner of my eye, I see her get up. I was already thinking, what is she doing? Why is she getting up in the middle of my vows? And that's when I hear a giant crash. On her way to go to the bathroom, in the middle of my vows, she tripped and fell into a pillar holding a floral arrangement, and it crashed and broke all over the ground. Everyone turns, they're staring at her, and instead of just trying to play it off or being low-key, she says loudly for everyone to hear, so sorry, everyone. I am so clumsy. That is so like me. No, don't look at me. Don't even look at me. Turn back around for those vows. Just like, why? Why did she have to say anything? Why? But finally, my husband and I say I do. We're married and it's time for the reception. And at this point, I'm thinking, you know what? The reception, it's fun. Everyone's here to have a good time. What could she possibly do that's worse than what she's already done? But nope, she was not done trying to make this wedding about her, because it got to the point of the reception when we were supposed to do speeches. I think that you can kind of see where this is going, but you actually have no idea where it's going because it's way worse than you could ever imagine. We'd obviously already pre-planned who was going to be giving speeches during our wedding, and I made sure that my husband told his little sister that she would not be giving a speech because I did not want her to even think that that was something that she should do. But when the best man was getting ready to give the microphone over to my maid of honor who was going to give a speech, guess who jumped in and just stole it? Yeah, his little sister. She begins by saying, I wasn't originally supposed to give a speech tonight, but I have a really special surprise for my brother. That's when I see a video start to play on the projector in the reception hall, and I start hearing the track for Near, Far, Wherever You Are. Like, my heart will go on, the love song. But it wasn't like the Celine Dion version. No, it was just the instrumentals because his little sister decided that she was going to be doing a cover of it. She was going to be singing that live and in action, and she's not a great singer. I'm sure that she's really good at other things singing, not one of them. And then on the projector, there starts to cycle through photos of her and my husband growing up together as kids. And not just photos, there's captions. And these captions are weird. They say things like, a boy's first love is his little sister. There is no bond that can replace the bond between a brother and his little sister. Like, things like that, it was weird. There was also a photo of them hugging, and the caption under was, "The only woman that will ever truly understand him." So, there's just nothing I can say about that. This slideshow is so long that she sings the song all the way through, and the slideshow's not over, so she doesn't even transition to another song. She just starts "My Heart Will Go On" over from the beginning. And I'm looking around, and everyone very uncomfortable, except for his parents, because they love it. They think it's so cute. They think this is the cutest thing they've ever seen. But after it's gone on for over 4 minutes, I was like, you know what? No. I tried to be nice and, just let her do what she needed to do, but this needs to stop because it's horrible. So I texted my maid of honor, who then went up to the person who was in charge of all the video stuff and got it shut down, got it turned off, got her mic shut off. And when she realized that she was singing and there was no volume and that the presentation had turned off, she freaks out. And she didn't even need a mic for anyone to hear at this point, because she's screaming about how selfish I am for getting her presentation turned off. She was like, "Weddings are about family, and I'm family. I cannot believe you're making this all about you." Just freaking out, sobbing, like sits down on the floor where she's at, temper tantrum. She's 25 years old. I feel like I hadn't noted that. She's 25 years old. My maid of honor and some of my other bridesmaids literally picked her up off the floor and took her outside, and everybody just tried to get back to normal. And we did, for the most part, until it was time for my husband and I to leave. So everybody lines up outside for us to do our exit, to get in the car and then drive off. We start walking down. We're about to get in the car, and all of a sudden, my husband is not next to me. I was like, wait, what is going on? I see that his little sister has pulled him back as he was walking through the crowd, and she's just begging for him not to go. She's crying, absolutely losing it. She's like, "No, you can't go. I need you. Like, do not leave with her. You are my brother. You're my family. You need to prioritize me." Everyone is just absolutely shocked. Then my husband turns around to me and he's like, "What do I do?" What do you do? You say, "Hey, I gotta go." Like, there's only one right solution. You get in the car and we leave. Luckily, my maid of honor, being the best, grabbed his little sister again, pulled her back, looked at my husband, is like, "Get in the car, you gotta go." And then obviously his little sister did send me a very long text telling me how I ruined the wedding day for her. Sorry. And if this story told you nothing, there is still a lot more drama to come with his little sister, so let me know if you still want updates.
Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to stop using baby talk around my family?
I have questions, comments, and concerns.
Same. So this might sound small, but it's been bugging me and caused a pretty big argument. My girlfriend, 26 female, and I, 28 male, have been dating for about a year. She's funny, smart, and overall awesome. But lately, she's been doing this thing where she talks in an exaggerated baby voice. Like, "I love you," and calling dinner nummies, kind of stuff like that. I didn't mind it in private at first, even though it's not my thing, but she started doing it around my friends and family. Last weekend, we had dinner with my parents, and she used that voice the whole time. My dad asked if she was okay, and my mom just looked confused the entire evening. Afterwards, I told her, gently, that I felt a little embarrassed and asked if she could tone it down around others. She got really upset, said I was being mean and not accepting her quirks, and now she's barely talking to me. I didn't insult her or raise my voice. I just asked if she could keep it private between us. But now I'm wondering if I'm the asshole for not just letting her be herself, even if it's cringy to me. Am I the asshole?
Okay. Time and place.
You can't just go to a family dinner with your in-laws and start like, nummies?
Nummies?
Hey, like talking to your father-in-law. "Hey, Bill, do you want a nummie?"
No, that's so sick. Honestly, if I was his mom, I'd be like, "You need to leave. You can't stay."
Am I the asshole for asking my sister-in-law to stop sleeping with my husband? Story time. So my husband and sister-in-law are very, very close. So let's call my husband Mark. I knew of Mark and his sister's close relationship before I got into a relationship with him. I didn't know the depths of it. Don't call me a weirdo. I didn't know the ins and outs. Pardon the pun. First time I realised they had a weirdly close relationship was actually at the first family dinner I was ever invited to. And bear in mind, I had not met any of Mark's family at this point. And his dad actually pulls me out a chair at the dinner table. I thought that was really, really cute. And then when Mark goes to sit down, he goes and sits the opposite side of the table away from me with his sister. So me and Mark eventually moved in together, and we actually moved a little bit away from both of our family homes. And I noticed that whenever we would get back from being with his family for the weekend or for the week, or just after we had been with his family, Mark suddenly had no drive. If you get what I'm trying to say, he had no want or desire. Obviously this raised a bit of concern. Obviously I thought he was just cheating on me. I thought maybe he had a girl from his old school that, I don't know, he used to know before me. I really didn't know, but I knew something was going on because normally there was no issues in that department. I was about to go and confront Mark about this. I'd been kind of thinking of something for like 2 weeks just to kind of think of what to say to him, and he goes and pops the question, goes and proposes to me, spill foundation down me, and I say yes. I'm so stupid and naive that I thought, oh my god, if he's proposing to me, whatever he's cheating on me with is going to stop. However, after this trip back to his family home, we come home and suddenly he had no drive again. I think for God's sake he's still cheating on me. Anyway, I bring it up to him. I basically say, I'm not going to marry you if you're cheating on me. And he said, I'm not. And he came up with some lame excuses that I didn't think were lame at the time. I just went ahead and married him. Never felt the way I felt for anyone, the way I feel about Mark. So I naively put on a dress, accepted a ring, and walked down the aisle. My whole world changed a few weeks ago when I found out the reason Mark never has drive when we come back from his family house for him and his sister. Not a random girl, his sister, who obviously I mentioned before that I knew they had a close relationship. I didn't think it was that close. Now, I brought this up to Mark and he completely brushed it off and was like, what are you on about? This is so normal. Like, I thought you did this to your brother and sister. No, I don't, believe it or not. Anyway, this started to really get on my nerves, and the next time I saw his sister in person, I lost it. Maybe I was the asshole for how I spoke to her. At the same time, you have been sleeping with my husband. So basically, at this family gathering, I was getting really annoyed with my sister-in-law, and I basically just said to her, like, can you stop sleeping with my husband? Like, can you and Mark just stop? This isn't normal. His whole family said that I'm the weirdo because I don't think it's normal. And I was getting called all the names under the sun. Everyone was sticking up for me, but this isn't normal.
Toxic? Oh girl, I've been that. Being so for real, my toxicity started in kindergarten back when I had 2 boyfriends. Obviously, I had my main stink and his name was Rudy, okay? And then the other one, his name was Sammy. Rudy was like the definition of perfect in my eyes. He was this cute little white boy that I was obsessed with. So he was my main boyfriend, okay? And anytime that he would piss me off or like we would go on a break or something, I would go running straight to Sammy. He was the side hoe. Bro, everybody knew these were my boyfriends and that they were not to be touched, okay? But Rudy was a little player and he had his little side hoe that he ended up choosing over me. Oh girl, and I was not having that. So I ended up switching to Sammy full time, and he was actually my first kiss, I think. I'm pretty sure. And if I remember correctly, me and Sammy were on and off for like 2.5 years straight up until like midway 2nd grade when I moved schools. So time goes by and I actually go back to that same school for 4th grade. But when I come back, that ship had sailed by this point. This one I'm using for blush, I forgot, my bad. But lucky for me, there were actually these 2 new boys that I became so infatuated with. So the first one, we're gonna call him Brent, okay? And he actually ended up being my on and off boyfriend up until 7th grade. Everybody knew we were together. Everybody knew that was my man and my man only, but for some reason, he was so fucking embarrassed of me and never claimed me. So at the same time that I was on and off again with this boy, I was infatuated with another boy, and we're gonna name him Jamie, but he also was my bully. But here's the thing, he was the head bitch of the boys and I was the head bitch of the girls, so eventually me and him became besties, okay? Frenemies, if you will. I was so fucking delulu over this boy. He made it so clear that he did not like me. But I was so persistent on making him mine. Like, anytime he would talk to any girl, I would throw a fit. I was like real toxic for this boy. And he was also real toxic and manipulative towards me too. Like, he convinced me that he was into me. He just didn't want to date me for some fucking reason. I don't know. This lasted also up until 7th grade. Eventually, me and Bart, what did I name him? Bart? Barry? Whatever the fuck. We're gonna rename him Bart. Me and Bart started fizzling out, okay? Like, that relationship, it wasn't done. We were so on and off here and there, but it wasn't as prominent in my life as me and Jamie were. So once like 6th and 7th grade hit, me and Jamie are having fights every other fucking week. And when I say fights, I mean like not physical, but we were like going at it real bad. He was the type of motherfucker that would get mad at me if I made friends with other guys or if I got a boyfriend, and he would like tell me that he felt like I was replacing him and make me feel bad about just like having other friends. And honestly, it got to the point where every other week we were breaking off our friendship up until I got really obsessive and really clingy. Honestly, around this time, me and Bartholomew, or whatever the fuck I named him, me and him tried it again in 7th grade and it just didn't work out. And then me and him honestly just stopped talking forever. Jamie actually ended up moving schools not too long after that, and I haven't talked to him or seen him since. We're 22 now. Bartholomew and I actually graduated at the same school, but we literally never talked since 7th grade. I don't know what he's up to anymore. I be checking up on Jamie sometimes just because I'd be curious, and honestly, like, he could still get it. But yeah, anyways, here's the look. I know nobody asked for this story time, but I didn't give a fuck. I wanted to talk about it.
Would I be the asshole if I asked my pregnant wife to move out because she and her best friend decided to test my loyalty? My wife is pregnant with our daughter. Initially, we were really happy and excited about it. But then she starts acting like a nut job. She gets angry and irritated for small things, insults me when she doesn't like the food I make, starts acting insecure, and accuses me of losing attraction for her. For example, she wanted to eat chicken sandwiches for dinner last night. Well, I made chicken sandwiches. So she eats all the sandwiches, leaves me nothing, and told me that they tasted like shit. I wasn't pissed because she left me nothing. But if she didn't like them, why did she have to eat everything? When I asked her this, she told me that she was hungry. Okay, fine. She does this every time. Eats everything I make and calls it shit. I don't argue with her because I work for more than 80 hours a week and I really want to have some peace when I'm home. So yesterday, a random girl starts out flirting with me after the gym and asked me if I wanted to meet up with her for some drinks. I rejected her and told her that I was married. And when I get home, my wife started to hug me and apologize. When I asked her what happened, she told me that her best friend suggested a test for my loyalty. So they asked a mutual friend to flirt with me and asked me out. And I passed. Yay. I'm really pissed. I'm done with her antics. Would I be the asshole if I asked her to move out?
My wife wants me to cut off my sister after she didn't watch our son last month. My wife and I have a 6-month-old baby, and he is the light of our lives. Before our son was born, my sister made it very known that she was not a baby person. Now, I've known this for nearly our whole lives. And even my wife knew, but I'm starting to wonder if she didn't take me seriously. My sister came to our baby shower, where she again made it known that she's not a baby person. That while she was happy for us, she would not have much to do with our kid until he was older. I remember my wife making a comment along the lines of, "Aw, he's gonna love his auntie, and you'll love him when he gets here." Now, my sister just laughed it off, but I saw the irritation in her eyes. I talked to my wife that night and I told her that my sister was serious, that I know her and I know that she doesn't really like babies or small children, and that we shouldn't try to force her to interact with our little one until she's ready. We went back and forth a little, but the conversation ended with us agreeing that we wouldn't force her. Now, fast forward a few months to about a month ago, and our son is 5 months old. I had planned a nice dinner date for the two of us at a very exclusive restaurant, a place where she had always wanted to go to, but it was always booked out. I surprised my wife with a reservation that I had booked a few months in advance for her birthday, as I thought it'd be a nice outing where we could take a quick breather from parenthood and also to kind of help us reconnect as a couple. But a few hours before our reservation, our babysitter canceled on us. My wife frantically suggests we call my sister and ask her to watch the baby. I already knew that my sister was going to say no, but my wife was very insistent. I did try calling a few friends first, but all of them were busy, or they couldn't since it was very last minute. Finally, after my wife insisting some more, I called my sister. I told her what was going on, but of course, I already knew her answer. She said that she was sorry, but she didn't want to. I told my wife this, and my wife asked me to put the phone on speaker. I was hesitant, but after I did, my wife loudly shouted into the phone, "Why don't you want to watch your nephew?" My sister was silent for a moment, but she told her she just wasn't comfortable with it. My wife responded, "Why not? He's your nephew." At that point, I just took the phone off speaker and I told my sister I would call her back. My wife was hysterical in tears. as we didn't end up making the reservation. I tried to comfort her by telling her we could do something that weekend and that I would reschedule the reservation for the next available date. But she wasn't in a good mood for a few days after this happened. And of course, I knew at this point that she really didn't like my sister. Well, yesterday was the day that everything went south. Well, I got a call from my sister telling me that it was an emergency and I needed to take her to the hospital. It was about 11 p.m. My wife and baby were both asleep, and my sister only lives about 10 minutes away. I texted my wife to let her know where I was going, just in case she woke up. Everything went well and my sister is okay. But we didn't get out of the emergency room until about 6 a.m. When I got home this morning, my wife didn't say anything to me at first. I asked if she got my messages throughout the night and if she was okay, but she didn't speak to me. I went into the office to work, and about 10 minutes later, she barges in. She starts yelling at me, telling me that it's insane that I left her in the middle of the night to help someone who doesn't even want to help us. She said that if it was that big of an emergency, she could have called the ambulance, and that I should have woken her up to tell her first. We went back and forth a bit, but it basically ended with her telling me that if I don't cut off my sister, that she doesn't know what's going to happen to our relationship, and that I need to prioritize our family. I know she's still upset about what happened last month, but to make me completely cut my sister off, I just don't think that's an appropriate thing to do at all. All she did was assert her boundaries. I won't lie, I was hurt and frustrated when we lost our reservation, but I got over it because I knew my sister's boundaries from the start. I love my wife and family more than anything, but my sister is also one of my loved family members. She has shown up in a way that she can, both to the baby shower and after the birth. Other than caring for the baby, my wife and I haven't spoken much today. But I don't want to continue things like this. She's still dealing with postpartum hormones, so I understand she may be on edge and feeling protective of the baby. But I feel like we should address this sooner rather than later. So what do I do?
Sad and disappointed on my 25th birthday, despite my boyfriend planning the whole thing. I feel guilty for being ungrateful. I feel absolutely terrible about this. I recognize it may seem entitled and ungrateful. I've scheduled a therapy session to discuss this issue, but I wanted to put my thoughts down here. My boyfriend and I have been together for 7 years, and he's a kind and considerate person. However, he's not the best at giving gifts and sometimes misses certain things. I recently turned 25, and I've expressed to him how important this milestone was to me. I've always been big on celebrating others' birthdays, and I usually go all out with gifts and celebrations. I didn't expect the same in return, but I didn't want to plan my own 25th birthday. My boyfriend agreed that I shouldn't have to plan it and offered to surprise me. I told him I didn't want anything big or fancy. I just want to spend time with my loved ones and feel loved by them that day. I didn't care if we all just went to a local soup dumpling place and had dinner and that was it. As long as my loved ones were all together celebrating my milestone age. Now some background on me. The last few months I've been undergoing therapy because I have an awful tendency of comparing myself to this one particular girl who caused me emotional trauma. I was jealous of her travels, of her boyfriend putting her on a pedestal, of her big friend group that used to be my boyfriend's friend group until she got everyone to hate him, of the cute birthday parties her friends and family would throw for her, and recently of her getting engaged. I've been trying to sort through this issue to always compare, but it kept coming back in the weeks leading to my birthday. I'd randomly break down over realizing I don't have people in my life who go through the same effort to plan things for her except my boyfriend. He's the one person who ever really put effort into making me happy and feel loved. But every now and then I'm reminded of my lack of community and I can't help but feel sad about it. I have my family and I do have friends, but none have really made an effort. More on that later. I've expressed these feelings to my boyfriend. We've talked about how nice it would be for this birthday to be different for me. For me to not feel alone and instead feel loved by my family and friends. He agreed and would sometimes even hint that I am more loved than I know and that maybe I don't hear about plans because they're keeping it a secret for my birthday. He even alluded to reaching out to people himself so I could have a separate hangout with friends or family without me having to plan it. So I built this expectation in my head that either my family or my friends were planning something for my birthday. Keep in mind, I wasn't hoping for a party or a celebration or anything extravagant. I was just really thinking they'd plan a simple dinner, nothing fancy, just somewhere I can casually eat with my loved ones. And the great thing about that surprise was that I wouldn't have to be the one to plan it, that my loved ones would have taken the initiative to be there and spend more time with me. My birthday comes around and my boyfriend really did plan a whole day. He got me roses, he took us to a mall we frequent and we rode the Ferris wheel that overlooked the city skyline. He took me to an exhibit we found out was in our area. We walked around a museum. Then he took me to the nicest restaurant I've ever eaten at and got me a custom ice cream cake with my favorite flavor of ice cream. It was a great date and I appreciated so much all the effort he put. Now comes the part where I was ungrateful and honestly a little hurtful to him. After that whole day, I kept thanking him for everything he did. But underneath me thanking him, it kept getting to my head that he was the only one who did anything. My family would have forgotten had I not reminded them. My family celebration was a last-minute dinner they asked me to plan, primarily focused on my sister's baby. Most of my friends forgot or asked me to plan something. I realized no one had anything planned. I mistakenly expected some sort of surprise and ended up with self-inflicted disappointment. So as I kept thanking my boyfriend, that gratitude turned into sadness because I realized he really is the only person who would make the effort. No one else did or would, and that was a really lonely feeling. He could sense my mood was shifting, so after we talked about it, I could tell I hurt him. His takeaway from everything I felt was that he wasn't enough for me, and despite him putting 100% of his effort in. This is where we established I needed therapy. Because when he said he put in 100% of effort, in my mind, I wish he had done more or done things differently. Because he planned a whole day for me, but what I thought was that he planned the wrong things. I felt guilty for thinking it. I was clear with what I wanted, which was just time with my family and friends that I didn't have to coordinate myself. I wanted to not feel alone or be reminded of my insecurities when celebrating my milestone. He had all of these big things planned. I love that he made the effort at all, and I love that he did make me feel special, but I feel like he got it wrong. It turns out he didn't reach out to anyone. He was just expecting they do something themselves, despite me telling him multiple times in the past they wouldn't do that. I thought he'd help plan something for me that actually addressed the one thing I told him I really wanted. He gave me all of those other experiences, and as much as they did make me happy, I wouldn't have minded not doing any of it. I wouldn't have minded a cheaper, less eventful day as long as it had my loved ones in it. I feel horrible. I feel ungrateful for not appreciating what he did. At the same time, I feel frustrated that he missed the mark. He really does try. He just doesn't always do it right. And when I don't love the mistaken effort, it hurts everyone involved. I've told him multiple times I don't like roses. My favorite flowers are daisies. The mall he took us to is a mall we go to regularly. It's nothing special. The Ferris wheel was nice, but we've both talked before about what a waste of money it is to spend $30 a person on a partial view of the skyline. The exhibit he took me to was something I told him multiple times that I had been to already. He says he didn't know I'd already seen it. The museum was a kids museum. The restaurant was nice. I wasn't lying about that. But like I said, I didn't need a fancy restaurant. He tries, but I also feel like he doesn't listen to me, and I feel awful for feeling frustrated because I'm now getting upset over the one person who even did anything at all for me. Everything I'm feeling is so conflicted, and I know the root of it is my own insecurities and inability to deal with many of those issues. We're not talking right now. We agreed to talk once I speak with my therapist, but I just overall feel horrible about everything.
Oh my God.
Honestly, I feel that you are pointing the finger at the wrong person. Your family and friends are to blame here. It is not your boyfriend's responsibility to round them up and do all of these things that you wanted. They should also want to put their hand out and celebrate you. And if they don't, take that as a hint. Get better friends. All right, you can't change your family, but that was a lot. I feel like you also don't know what you want, but you just feel a certain type of way and you're trying to figure out that feeling.
Am I the asshole because I don't care about my friend's discomfort? I have this friend who has a history of attention-seeking behavior, Chris. Chris noticed yesterday that my girlfriend was wearing jeans that didn't actually fit. She had to wear a belt to keep them up and roll up the cuffs, as well as a t-shirt that I frequently wear. Chris asked me if my girlfriend was wearing my clothes. I told him she was. Chris asked me why she didn't just keep clothes at my place so we weren't advertising to people what we were doing last night. First of all, why does it fucking matter whether she keeps clothes at my place or not? Second of all, what were we doing last night? Because she's wearing a pair of pants and a fucking t-shirt. That doesn't tell you a goddamn fucking thing, except sis didn't want to put on the same clothes she had on yesterday. So what were we doing last night? No, you're not the asshole. If this is what the fuck is making Chris uncomfortable, no, I wouldn't give a fuck about this shit either. It screams bro is being a hater. He's jealous. I said that she likes wearing my clothes, and I like that she wears them too. It's sort of our thing. He asked by what I meant by our thing, and if the thing was a sex thing. I said, sometimes in a lighthearted tone, but he was annoyed. Chris said we have no right to be engaging in such behavior in public, and that we didn't have the consent of all the bystanders to wear different clothes. Chris, are you fucking serious? You act like the bitch is giving him a mic check where the fuck he stands. No, She's wearing his pants and his t-shirt. And it's got to be a thing. And you don't have consent from all these bystanders to do your thing out here. Chris. I said he was being ridiculous. It's jeans and a shirt. Oh, so scandalous. He said some people might be uncomfortable. With what? The fact that the bitch had to put on a belt and still roll up the pants? Are they covered in jizz? Is there a hole in the back of them? What the fuck are they going to be uncomfortable about? The fact that she's got on clothes that are a couple sizes too big, newsflash, it's a trend. That's kind of what the kids are wearing nowadays. I told him there was no way. He said he was uncomfortable. You're a fucking hater. You're jealous. You're not uncomfortable. You're jealous. I said I thought we were past the point of telling women what to wear. He said this was completely different. I told him that I don't care that he's uncomfortable. People can wear what they want to wear, and he needs to get over it, period. The main reason I think I'm an asshole is that if anyone else said this to me, I would want to hear them out and understand their position. I ignored Chris basically because he always has a complaint and I'm sick of it. Did I dismiss him unfairly? Was I being an asshole? No, babe, you're absolutely not the asshole. You guys weren't doing anything wrong or engaging in anything perverse. She was literally wearing your fucking clothes. Like you said, it was jeans and a fucking t-shirt. That's it. You weren't doing anything wrong. But what I need from you is to start telling Chris to mind his fucking business. He has no right to come to you and question you about what the fuck your girlfriend has on and why. And then what led to that. That's none of his goddamn fucking business, and I need you to start telling him that. Honestly, Chris is a red flag of a person that I would not want to have around myself or my girlfriend. Because how the fuck you see my girlfriend in my clothes and you immediately jump to something sexual? The bitch could have shit on herself and had to take a shower and couldn't put them clothes back on. But no, you see my girlfriend, my clothes, and immediately your mind jumps to something intimate. I don't want you around. Chris, listen, your reaction to all of this, bro, makes me think a couple of things. One, you do not have a partner and you never have. Or you do have a partner and this partner is a big back and they can't fit your clothing. And listen, this is not me trying to shame anybody. This is coming from a big back who cannot fit into her fiance's clothes. If I want to wear one of his t-shirts, I got to throw that bitch over my shoulder because what I'm not going to do is get it on my body. Chris is hating from outside the club.
Am I in the wrong for making my wife ride in the back seat because she couldn't stop distracting me? This happened over the holidays and my wife is still upset with me over it. Our family went to visit my in-laws for New Year's. It's about a 3 to 4 hour drive. Mostly highway, but it takes us through 2 metro areas with pretty significant traffic. My wife, 37 female, gets nervous about driving in traffic, so I always drive when we visit her family. She also tends to get car sick on longer drives and needs to sit in the front seat to help ease it. She has tried taking Dramamine in the past, but she's had an allergic reaction to it, so she doesn't take it anymore. I love my wife with all my heart, but she is not good at sitting shotgun. She makes huge reactions to any change in traffic, grabbing the handle, putting her hand on the dash, gasping, telling me to watch out, etc. It's not like I'm an aggressive or risky driver. I've never gotten a speeding ticket or been in an accident. But if there's a car half a mile ahead of us that puts on their brakes, she freaks out and acts like we're about to die. It's incredibly distracting. I've talked to her multiple times about how her reactions actually makes it more difficult for me to concentrate on driving, but she says that she can't control herself because she's nervous in traffic. On the way to her family's place, she sat up front with me and traffic was pretty bad. Lots of slowdowns due to the weather conditions and in general just kind of slow going. But I've been driving in cold weather my whole life and know how to control my speed and give lots of extra space to any surrounding cars. I understand that you can't control anyone else on the road and that accidents happen, but I do everything in my control to keep my car and people inside it safe. The entire drive, my wife was on edge making all kinds of reactions that I mentioned. It's very distracting to have someone sit next to you doing that sort of thing while you're driving. I mentioned this to my wife numerous times on the drive, and she always deflected the blame at me for the way I was driving. When we were getting ready to head home, I told my wife that she needs to sit in the back and our 14-year-old son will sit up front with me. I told her it's either that or she drives us home. She got upset with me and started giving excuses about her car sickness. I told her to take some NyQuil or something else to help her sleep, but she refused and told me that I'm being a jerk. I told her that she can drive then, and she refused that too. Eventually, she reluctantly got in the back seat with our 11-year-old daughter. The ride home was much easier traffic-wise, and my wife sat pretty much silent in the back seat the entire time. When we got home, she told me she felt ill the entire drive but didn't say anything because she didn't want to make a big deal out of anything. She told me that I humiliated her by making her sit in the back and that I should be more considerate of her feelings. So, am I in the wrong?
Am I the asshole for refusing to help my parents care for my son who they adopted? I'm an oopsie baby. My folks had me when they were in their early 40s. I got pregnant when I was in university. I probably can't write here why I didn't want it. I wanted to not be pregnant, but my parents said they would cut off all aid to me if I did that, so I carried it to term. Then I wanted to put the child up for adoption or drop him at a fire station or something. I was not in a good place. My parents insisted on adopting him so that he is legally my brother. I do not hate him, but he is a reminder of something terrible that happened to me. I now go back home as little as possible, maybe 2 days a year. I have graduated and I have a life far away from my parents. My brother is 12 now, and he's not well behaved. My parents are now in their 70s and are having a shitty retirement. They have to dedicate all of their time to him. They can't take the vacations they planned. They won't downsize to a condo, so they still have yard work and stuff that he will not help with. None of my actual siblings will watch him to give them a break. They reached out to me for help. I said no. I said that he is their son and their responsibility. They think I'm being cruel for forcing them to do everything after they helped me so much. It took everything I had in me to not curse them out. Some of my relatives have reached out to me to see why I refused to help fix the mess that I made. Then I cursed them out and blocked them. None of them helped me when I was pregnant against my will. The biological father is on the registry and cannot be near kids, before you ask. Oh my god, that's so fucking... Well, they are the ones that forced you to have a kid, so they should have to deal with that consequence. Like, so you wanted to fix the problem far before you even had the child, and they forced you to have the kid. That is their problem. They adopted the kid. That's what happens. Am I the asshole for refusing to help my parents care for my son who they adopted? This is the update. Thank you guys for finally giving me the motivation to tell my story to my family and to cut ties with my parents. I did what so many of you suggested, and I wrote everything out. Explained that I had been violently assaulted and raped, that my parents, who were my only support, told me that they would be kicking me out, stopping paying for my education, and removing me from their health insurance if I took Plan B. I further explained that when I found out I was pregnant from the rape, they once again coerced me the same way into carrying the fetus to term, and how they insisted on adopting him after I stated I never wanted to see him again. I wanted him up for a closed adoption, but they would not relent. I then added pictures of me from the hospital. Blood, bruises, missing teeth, shattered face, everything. I included a recent picture of myself with my orbital prosthesis removed so everyone could see the permanent damage. I posted everything onto the family group chat. I included that I would now consider the matter closed and have decided to completely cut myself off from all of them. It was my New Year's gift to myself and my mental health. I have received messages and emails from family members using unknown numbers and emails to tell me that they didn't know about all of this and that they're sorry. I blocked the news sources. I'm just done. I honestly have not had the strength to do this until you guys gave it to me. Thank you. Oh, okay. First of all, you're so brave for that, and I'm so happy that you did what is best for your mental health, because that is 100% what you should have done a long time ago to get these people out of your life. They clearly have such closed minds that they can't realize, and they'll never realize, I feel like they're just too stuck in their ways. They're too stuck in the old ways of thinking, and it's just ridiculous. And the fact that I can't believe other family members, I wonder what other family members thought was happening.
I need to know if I took it too far in the way I went about canceling my wedding when I found out what my sister did. A lot of people in my family said I could have handled it a lot more privately, but I don't regret it. I was not supposed to be sitting here today telling this story. I was supposed to be on my honeymoon having the time of my life with my husband, but obviously that didn't happen. Everything really started to fall apart the night before the wedding, which was my rehearsal dinner. At this point, the venue was all ready to go. The guests had all flown in. Everything was pretty much perfect, and I wasn't even feeling that stressed. And even though my sister, who's a year older than me, has always been hyper competitive with me, like wanting to be better at every single thing that I was interested in, always going after and dating the guys I told her I had a crush on, things like that, I decided, you know what? She's my sister. I'll make her my maid of honor. That was a mistake. Now, we chose a few people that were going to give speeches at our rehearsal dinner, and they had specific topics that we wanted them to give speeches about. For my sister, we told her that her speech should specifically focus on me, my relationship with her, how she's excited I'm getting married, blah, 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 something like that. My fiance's brother was going to give a speech focused mostly on him. Then we had one of our mutual friends who was going to give a speech about the two of us together. I thought it was a pretty simple task. But my sister gets up and starts giving her speech, and tell me why I was barely mentioned in it. She starts off talking about herself, and then she starts talking about how excited she is that my fiance is going to be marrying into the family because she feels like they are so close and he really understands her and that he's just the best guy that she's ever met. Okay, great. It was a nice speech about my fiance, but that was not your job. you were asked to give a speech about me. I was also really confused because the way she was talking about my fiance in the speech made it seem like they were super close. And I mean, I've seen them talk at family events, but I did not think that they knew each other like that. She was talking about him like they were the closest people in the world. And obviously, this was super annoying to me. I'm listening to her speech, trying not to roll my eyes because I asked her to do one thing and she just did what she wanted to do. But I just tried to let it go because my wedding was the next day and I was just not going to let her ruin it. So I didn't even say anything to her about it. But it's the morning of my wedding when everything really starts to fall apart because I wake up, I check my phone, and I see that I have an email from an anonymous account with the subject, "What you need to know before you decide to get married today." And in this email, it showed me that there were over 2 years of text messages between my sister and my fiance. The earliest text messages were clearly her trying to sabotage my relationship. She was saying things like, "Just be careful and don't believe everything she says because she's not really as confident as she seems." Or saying other things like, "Yeah, she gets attached way too fast, so she may not like you as much as you think she does." And at no point in my relationship with my fiance did I ever know that him and my sister were texting one-on-one. So this was a shock to me. He never came to me like, "Hey, just letting you know, your sister is saying all these things about you." Then as the messages go on, they clearly start turning into her trying to flirt with him. He's not flirting back at first, but not stopping the conversations. But as they keep going, he does start initiating flirting back. And at some point, I don't know exactly when, it became clear that my fiance definitely cheated on me with my sister. And I'm just saying absolutely red at this point. I don't even care about the superstition about it's bad luck for the bride and groom to see each other on the day of the wedding. I march straight to where I know my fiance and all of his groomsmen are getting ready. So I pull my fiance out into the hallway and I present him all the evidence of him cheating with my sister. And I think a little part of me wanted him to deny it. I wanted to believe that this wasn't true and somebody was just trying to sabotage my wedding. But immediately when I see his face, there was no hiding it. I knew that this was true and he cheated on me. And he just starts babbling out excuses. He's apologizing. He says that it was only a few times. He was so confused. He really felt like she understood him, but really she was just manipulating him the whole time. He's so sorry. It would never happen again, blah, blah, blah. And I am just shell-shocked. What are you supposed to say to that? He's just begging me over and over, "Please don't cancel the wedding. Please, I still want to get married today. We can figure this out." Basically begging me, almost on his hands and knees. And I completely shocked myself with what I said next because I had expected to completely call off the wedding if he admitted that it was true. But I just say, okay, yeah, I mean, everyone's here. Everything's set up. It's ready to go. Let's get married and then we'll figure this out after. We'll figure out how to get through it. And he throws his arm around me, gives me the biggest hug. He's sobbing. He's like, "Thank you so much. Like, I'll make this up to you. This will never happen again." And again, I just feel numb. I don't even have a single emotion at this point. So I go back to the bridal suite. I find a place where I can just be alone and I start thinking about all of this. And I'm trying to come out of my state of shock and I'm realizing, what did I just agree to? I just told that man that I would marry him. I can't marry this man. I cannot go through with this wedding. I just found out he was cheating on me with my sister. I don't even have time to process it. So I start getting my hair and makeup done and I am just an absolute shell during the getting ready process. I'm barely speaking to anybody because I'm just so overwhelmed. I don't even know how to process what's going on. And everyone, including my sister, is asking me what's wrong, if I'm okay. And I'm just telling them it's wedding jitters. And even when I am lined up outside the wedding venue doors about to walk down the aisle, I still feel like I'm having an out-of-body experience. I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm unable to process the situation. It isn't until the doors open and I see at the end of the aisle my fiance standing, smiling at the altar, and my sister standing with the other bridesmaids, it hits me. At that moment, it hits me and all of the feelings I have bottled up all day just pour out of me. I'm hurt, I'm disgusted, I'm angry, and I realize that there's absolutely no way that I could spend the rest of my life waking up next to this lying, cheating man. And at this point, I could have just turned around and booked it out of there, just left them standing there and have everybody be super confused. But I didn't do that. I made the decision to walk down that aisle and stand at the altar with my fiance. I grab the officiant's mic and I say, "Hi everyone. Thank you all so much for coming. It means the world to me. But unfortunately, there's not going to be a wedding today because my fiance and my maid of honor / sister, yeah, they've been having an affair. So obviously the wedding's not gonna happen. Everyone looks absolutely shocked, especially the members of my family. Then I give the mic back to the officiant and I just walk back down the aisle. A lot of the members of my family are super upset with me, saying that I handled that completely wrong and I should have just handled it privately, not aired out the dirty laundry in front of every single person, but I don't care. So much money went into that wedding and at least give them a show, you know what I mean? And it's not like I planned to do that, it just happened. In the moment, I felt like that's what I needed to do. Maybe it was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have done that publicly, but the two people in my life who were supposed to love and care about me betrayed me. So why am I the villain here? Anyways, the drama that's continued since this runaway bride saga has been absolutely insane. So let me know if you want some updates.
Am I the asshole for threatening to throw my pregnant daughter out? I'm a female 51 and my daughter is 22 and I love her dearly. We're close, always have been, but she still lives with me and it's draining me emotionally and financially. She had a job as a teenager. We decided to put most of her earned money into a savings account. She got full access of it when she turned 18. It was probably around 10 to 15,000. She went on a trip with her friends, got her license, and bought a car. It was gone in the span of 6 months. I was disappointed. Me and her grandparents saved money for her that she'll gain access to when she turns 25. I don't think she has knowledge of this though. She likely will never truly struggle because of financial issues if she follows the right path. She's been out of work and school since she graduated high school. In November 2021, she told me she was pregnant. Baby is due in June. Father is out of the picture. She's keeping it, much to my dislike, but I understand not being able to go through with the termination. She's here today because I didn't. When she let me in on her pregnancy, I told her that while I do love her, I don't want to be living in the same house as her and a baby. I'll support her, but I need her out of my house. It's not even the first time I've told her I want her to move. I said I'll house her for maybe another year, but she needs to actively apply for jobs and apartments and decide if she wants to go to university or not. I'll help her, I have contacts. Well, now it's the end of May. Has she done any of those things? No. I was a single mother, so I know the struggle. I didn't have my family though. I wasn't fit to be a mother, but I tried my best. If I could choose, I'd never have kids. But I tried my best and I know she'll do the same. I told her she has 4 months and then she's out. I'll help her pay rent. I'll come by multiple times a week. She doesn't want to work. She doesn't want to do anything. She wrote a post about how I am the most unloving mother in history because I don't want her in my house anymore, asking if any family or friends can take her in. As I said, she won't be homeless, just not in my home. I won't disappear either. I just want space, and my partner proposed to me and wants to move in. I've offered to get her an apartment. I've offered anything she wants. I pay for her therapy, but nothing is enough. Now my inbox is flooded with relatives calling me an asshole, and I just need my daughter to take some responsibility. Am I the asshole for threatening to throw her out? Am I the asshole for disinviting my siblings from my wedding? I am a 25 female, my sister's 27 female, and my brother's 28 male. We were raised together, and until 2019, we believed we were a nuclear, biological family. Then we found out our dad wasn't our bio dad, which even he didn't know. It then turned out my older siblings shared a bio dad, but I had a different one. We were also first cousins because their bio and my bio were brothers. Dad left our mom hurt, betrayed, and overall disgusted that she had lied to him for 2 decades. I was equally mad that she lied and hurt my dad. My siblings were less willing to cut her off, but the relationship strained majorly. Dad moved in with me and my then boyfriend, now fiance, and COVID hit. At this point, all 3 of us agreed he was dad no matter what, and there was nothing that could change that. I meant it, but they didn't. They found their bio father, and mine by extension, and have decided that he is now real dad, and that our dad is just a stepdad. My brother has even corrected his 2 little girls who call dad grandpa into saying he's step grandpa, and that's what they call him, while bio gets called grandpa. It broke my dad's heart, and he decided it was too much for him to accept. This is after talks between them where he was essentially told to know his place, stay in his lane, and demoted with the clear message being nothing would change. I am so pissed at them. They have tried to push me to meet my real dad and have told me it's okay to go back on what we said. Initially, they were invited to my wedding, but with this whole mess, I told them they were no longer welcome and I did not want them to show up. They told me that just because they have a relationship with their real dad doesn't change things between us. I told them it does, that if dad isn't our real dad after everything he has done for us, then we're not real siblings, because technically we are half siblings and cousins. I also told him that my dad is still my dad 100% and biology is meaningless to me, and so it was best for them not to come because I no longer want them there. What I said hurt them. My sister-in-law, who's married to my brother, told me I was an asshole for throwing that in their faces and cutting them from my wedding, like we haven't been siblings our whole lives. I think that's almost more annoying to me because that's our dad, but he can be crapped on and discarded like he's nothing. Am I the asshole?
Story time about how I saw my best friend's dad on a date with our ex-friend. My best friend Alex and I are both 17 years old. When we were younger, around 11 to 12 years old, we had a friend named Lauren. Alex has a really big house with a lot of cool stuff, so every week we would go over for a sleepover in her den. It would be me, her, Lauren, and a few other girls. Lauren started saying that she had a crush on Alex's dad, which we all thought was weird, but we kind of just ignored it. However, it started getting weirder when she started going into detail about wanting to be with him and have his children. Alex finally had enough and told her that it was going too far. She told her that if she kept saying things like this, then she wouldn't be able to come over anymore. It seemed like it got through to Lauren and everything was fine for a while. We eventually grew apart from Lauren, and even though we were still friends, she stopped hanging out with us over time. She would still talk about Alex's dad though, just not directly to Alex. At one point, she even said she had given a BJ to him, but he wasn't even in the country when she said it happened. He was on vacation with Alex and her sisters at the time, so no one believed her. One day, I went to a mall kind of far away with my brother and saw Lauren and Alex's dad together. They were being extremely affectionate, and I snapped a picture of them because he's still married. This is when my brother told me that it's not our business and we need to stay out of it. Part 2 of how I saw my best friend's dad on a date with our ex-friend. I ended up telling Alex after school and showed her the picture. She immediately wanted to find Lauren and confront her, but once she calmed down, we decided to go to Alex's mom first. Her mom is an extremely calm woman, but when we told her and showed her the picture, she blew up. Apparently, Alex's dad had cheated on her mom before, and the girls he's been showing interest in have been getting younger and younger. She's had her suspicions for a while. She calls him and tells him that he needs to get home ASAP. When he arrives, she confronts him and he thinks that it was Lauren who added him, trying to cause issues in his marriage. He starts out by saying Lauren has been causing issues for years and making things up. When she told him it wasn't Lauren who added him and showed him the picture, he flipped out. Alex called me crying and I could hear her parents screaming at each other, so she came to stay with me and my family. Alex's mom kicked her dad out, said it was over, told him he's never seeing the kids again, and topped it off by telling him that she's calling the cops. After this, he started calling Alex and she answered the phone telling him to never call her again and then hung up. This is when Alex's mom calls Lauren's mom to tell her what's been going on. Part 3 of how I saw my best friend's dad on a date with our ex-friend. Once Lauren's mom found out what was going on, she flipped out as well. She had her suspicions something had been going on with Lauren because she was being super secretive and her mom wasn't able to put it together. Alex's mom also told Lauren's mom about the stuff that she used to say. Lauren's mom searched her belongings to try and find any texts and talked to Lauren to find any evidence of their relationship before she was 18. Lauren hasn't been to school since, but she sent me and Alex texts on WhatsApp calling us nasty names and saying that Alex is going to end up a fat C word like her mom. However, Alex and her mom are both gorgeous. She also said that since we outed her relationship, she's going to out me and Alex as gigantic lesbians. We didn't get mad at her because it sounds like some pretty messed up stuff might have happened to her, and we just hope that she gets the help that she needs. Alex and her mom are doing as well as can be expected. Alex's mom got a lawyer and a therapist for Alex. Everyone at school knows what's going on and it's weird for her. A few people are talking about Lauren, but everyone agrees that Alex's dad is the piece of trash here. If they find proof that he did stuff before Lauren was 18, they're going to the cops with the evidence. Alex's mom already called the local department with her suspicions, but more proof is needed.
Am I the asshole for asking my husband to be more sympathetic and accommodating to my daughter? I have a 22-year-old daughter from my previous marriage. I got married to my husband 7 years ago, and my daughter never got along with him for some reason. I admit that my husband did all he could to offer her guidance and support, but she made it clear she was not accepting him as a father figure. After 2 years of no contact, she started visiting us at our new house. Her and my husband started spending time together, and she even brought her fiancé along. All was good, and she even said they were planning to get married, but recently, her fiancé lost half of his savings, and they had to let go of the venue and other expenses. My daughter insisted on having her wedding on the same date she chose because of how much it meant to her. She asked if she could have the wedding, which is now turned into a small party, at our house. My husband said of course and even offered to pay for some of the expenses, but my daughter told me that she only wanted family there and wasn't feeling comfortable with having my husband around. I was initially shocked by this, but then explained that my husband serves as a reminder of her broken family, although my husband and I met 2 years after I divorced her dad. But she said she had hopes for us to get back together. I said no, but she started crying, saying this is her only chance at getting her wedding without having to go broke. I didn't tell my husband right away because I wanted to see how he felt about missing the wedding, and he told me if I had something to say, then I needed to just say it. I told him what my daughter said and asked that he give her and her fiancé and their guests 1 day, then he could come back. He lost it, saying he couldn't believe I'd agreed to such a ridiculous request. I told him it's 1 day, but he said it wasn't about leaving the house, but about missing the wedding of someone he thought was important to him. I felt awful, but said that it's her wedding and that I know it was unfair of her, but all he could do is be sympathetic and accommodating so this won't escalate and ruin their relationship any further. He shouted at me, calling me an enabler, and said that my daughter no longer was allowed in his house because of the disrespect, and then stopped talking to me about it. What he said made the argument worse. I understand he's hurt, but he should understand that he can't change how my daughter feels about him, and also not to mention that even though he bought the house, it's my house too.
Am I the asshole for telling my child's mother I can parent however I want and my girlfriend can get whatever tattoo she wants? I, 35 male, have an 11-year-old daughter with my ex-wife, Carrie, 36 female. Me and Carrie met senior year of high school, dated throughout college, and had our daughter whenever she was in law school. At the beginning, it was great, but after Carrie joined a firm, everything went to shit. I accepted her job would require long hours, but it just got worse. I was doing almost all the baby work. She would just come home late, eat, watch some TV, and go to bed. She wouldn't show me any affection most nights. I felt like a live-in nanny, and I was working full-time too. I tried communicating only to get lawyer talk back. All we could talk about was her work and the baby, nothing about us or my job or my life. I filed for divorce 4 years ago. Carrie went off about it whenever I informed her. She wanted to try therapy, something that I had suggested for years. She was mostly upset about losing her childcare arrangement and personal chef. I've been dating Lauren, 28 female, for 2.5 years. She and my daughter are very close. Lauren has a couple of tattoos and wants to get one of me and my daughter on her arm sleeve. We've been talking about marriage and she is free to do whatever she wants with her body. I asked my daughter if she was okay with it and she loved the idea. Lauren and her are working on the design together and it's bonding them more. My ex-wife found out and was very mad. She had an issue with how I'm raising my daughter and how my girlfriend is promoting tattoos. She also said I don't care about my daughter because I don't help her study, which isn't true. We do her homework quickly so we can hang out and enjoy life, not shove our faces in books. Her grades are still great, just not all A's. I told Carrie she's free to raise our daughter however she wants to at her place. But our house is about being a family and not being a cold robot. Maybe she should look in the mirror and ask our daughter why she likes her stepmom so much. I'm not going to turn our daughter cold and Lauren can get whatever tattoo she wants. She called me an asshole and threatened to contact my attorney.
Am I the asshole for ghosting my best friend of 6 years? My best friend, let's call her Sam, and I are both 22 female.
Okay.
We went to high school together and were inseparable. However, Sam was a very problematic person, yet I let her do whatever because we lived in a very strict Muslim country and both had issues and came from difficult backgrounds.
Oh, okay.
A few months ago, she started dating our mutual friend Ryan's best friend Jim. Because of this, Ryan and I grew super close and found out that we had a lot in common.
Yeah.
This will be relevant later.
Okay.
So when Sam started dating Jim, Sam stopped hanging out with me and wouldn't talk to me for weeks, only to surface later when she's depressed/suicidal to rant to me about her relationship problems.
Oh, wow.
I thought nothing of it because for a very long time I was the therapist friend who she would dump on whatever she felt like, and I understood her because I was also in a messed up place.
Okay.
Anyway, we both left our country and went to university in Europe where I was dying for a chance to improve my life. And since I'd become friends with Ryan, we would try to get Jim and Sam to hang out with us because they had stopped hanging out with the other of us.
Oh.
But Sam always refused and never introduced me to Jim, always saying things like, oh, he's busy, etc. She later tells me in private that the real reason why is because Jim didn't want her to hang out with other guys, the other guy being his best friend, Ryan. Anyway, I was so pissed at her at the stupid excuse that I told Ryan, only to find out that Jim is actually a huge feminist, and that she told him she told him that I'm very judgmental.
What?
Yeah, that's okay. Fucking
whoa, what a turn.
Your friend already sucks. I'm sorry.
I was like on her side up until this.
Yeah, now, yeah.
Holy shit. Okay. What the fuck?
Through this conversation and more investigating, Ryan and I matched our conversations with Sam, only to find out that the only reason she talked to him was to make her boyfriend jealous, and the only reason she talked to me was to vent about Jim when they fight. I also found out that she has said how she wishes Ryan could just come out to Jim so he would be okay with her hanging out with us, since Ryan and I are gay. Then our mutual friend Lily was brought into the mix since she has been friends with Sam for 15 years, and Lily reminded me of how Sam had actually outed Lily to me against her will to find out how I would react when she came out to me later. I was still in the closet and so was everyone else.
What the fuck?
Anyways, Ryan, Lily, and I became best friends and have cut off contact with her or limited it to being civil. I still feel guilty about it and love her a lot.
No.
Last I heard, she was about to break up with Jim. Am I the asshole?
No.
You're not the asshole.
She's a fucking weirdo.
Am I wrong for mostly ignoring my girlfriend on her birthday? So yesterday we celebrated my male 23 girlfriend's 21st birthday. Her parents threw a big celebration with all her friends and family. For me personally, it was the first time I met anyone in the family with the exception of her parents. It was also her first birthday I celebrated with her because we've been dating for about 7 months. Now, I'm originally from Romania, from a region called Maramirez. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. I'm sorry, you guys. But I've been living abroad for 11 years now. My girlfriend mentioned at some point that one of her grandmothers was also from Romania, but we didn't discuss it in detail. So yesterday, I met my girlfriend's grandma, and what can I say? I couldn't believe how small the world was. Not only was she Romanian, but from the same country as me. So we talked and talked a lot, and she told me her life story. We reminisced about Baya Mare, and I really enjoyed the conversation. Am I wrong for mostly ignoring my girlfriend on her birthday? We reminisced about Baya Mare, and I really enjoyed the conversation, especially talking in my native language. And that's how I spent most of the party. Of course, when my girlfriend asked me to take photos with her, or when the cake came, I gave her my full attention, but for the most part, she spent time with her friends dancing and drinking, while I was just talking with her grandmother. I didn't pay it much mind, but after the party, when it was done, she told me she felt neglected by me during her birthday. And this morning, she seems pissed at me. Top comment says, nah, I would have thought she'd be excited you connect so well with her grandmother. Family approval makes relationships a lot easier. That being said, you probably could have done a better job at striking a balance between talking to her grandma and hanging out with her at her party. Another comment says 21 is a big birthday, so I can see her feeling neglected. Maybe you can make it up to her with a surprise night out and something special, but also she has to understand the connection.
Tomorrow, I'm going to ruin his life. Story time. I've been with my boyfriend for 3 years now. We had planned on getting married when our lives had settled down. I love him more than anyone else in this world, and I've sacrificed so much for him. I've moved away from home, turned down jobs, and it was all just so I could stay with him. I stood by his side when he decided to go back to school, and I just gave him the world. Then he cheats on me. I found out over a month ago, but the scumbag got cocky. And I found out he was cheating on me with 2 different women. One of them is a TA at his university, and the other one is his best friend's girlfriend. Write this post choking back venom. I loved him so much, but now he will be the world I burn to nothing. So I pay for everything since he quit his job last year to go to school. No, I was more than happy to help. I make enough to support us both. The only upside of it is that all of his student loans are in his name and have no connection to me. It'll hurt to push the scumbag out to sea, but I'll survive. So I've held out for a month, which is enough time to plan what I like to call the day his world burns. So tomorrow we are hosting a party. I've arranged for his family to come, but unfortunately my family can't attend. I've packed everything valuable already and the suitcase is in the back of my car. So my brother will come and pick up the car during the event tomorrow, which my boyfriend would normally drive himself to school in, even though the car is in my name. The joint account, which is all my money anyway, is already empty. The event will be great and he thinks it's so that we can announce our engagement to his family. However, what will happen in reality is this. I will announce my departure from his life. I already have a new job lined up which is in a different state. I'll start by showing him the screenshots of what he said to these other girls and the many other degenerate things his mind came up with. And then these will all be passed around the room. I will then hand him the notice to vacate as I've already broken our lease. We need to be out of the property by the end of the month. I will then end off by saying that I've reported that he was sleeping with one of the TAs from one of his classes last semester, and that I am really sad that I won't see the fallout from that situation. Oh, and his friend also has a message for him that I will deliver, informing him that his friendship group never want to see him as well. And with that, I will leave, and I will not look back. I tried to ruin his life. Storytime updates. If you haven't watched part 1, go watch that first. Yesterday, I planned to ruin his life in front of his whole entire family. I worked for a month to create a scenario that I knew would cut him the deepest. I had patiently been waiting for the moment to storm out of this man's world with a blaze of glory. And then my story hit the front page of Reddit. So I realised I'd messed up when he wasn't replying to my texts anymore. He hadn't shown up hours after he said he'd be home. So, I was hoping that it was just a happy accident. Listen, I don't know how many men in the world are cheating on their soon-to-be fiancé with their best friend's girlfriend and the teaching assistant from their school. However, the one who mattered in my plan found my Reddit post. So I called his mum and found out that he had run home to his parents' house. He had told them that we'd had an argument and he thought that we were probably through. I was, and to be fair, still am livid with myself. So his mum rang me and asked what had actually happened because he'd left out some details. So I quite happily told his mother. I then heard her shouting before she hung up. I then texted my ex and said that he had until the morning to return my car until I reported it stolen to the police. And if the car wasn't there in the morning, I'd send screenshots of the messages that he sent to the girls to his parents and to his siblings. Safe to say, the car was sitting in my driveway the next morning when I woke up. I did contemplate sending the texts anyway, but then his mum sent me like a really heartfelt text yesterday apologising for her son's behaviour. That is not the right colour. And I feel like his family can definitely be spared from his degenerate actions. Me and my dad are moving all of my stuff later today and I will not be coming back. And I know you'll be watching this, you cowardly piece of shit. Just know that I'm not above sending out the screenshots if you ever dare to come back into my life. Oh, and your best friends now know all the information and I can't control what they do with that, so good luck.
My 37 male, wife 34 female, sister 29 female tried to kiss me, and now my wife is spiraling. Somebody help me. As the title says, my wife's sister made a pass at me at a recent family gathering, and I have no idea what to do. For context, I think my wife Jenna is absolutely gorgeous, but she has some really negative body image issues. This is in large part because of her sister, Mary, who is very conventionally attractive, as opposed to Jenna's more unconventional but in my opinion striking beauty. Mary was a successful model until a couple of years ago and now works in the fashion industry. In our early days of dating, when I would tell Jenna she's beautiful, she would always say, "Just wait until you see my sister." When I did finally meet her family, she would randomly press me for weeks to talk about her sister, whether I thought she was more attractive than her, etc. I always told her the truth, that I think Mary is attractive in a boring way, and I think my wife is much more beautiful and interesting to look at. She wouldn't let it go until I confronted her about how uncomfortable it made me and asked her what's going on. This is when she told me that she always had a chip on her shoulder about her looks because of being compared with her sister growing up. They fell into the classic smart one / pretty one dynamic their whole lives. She also said that Mary had a habit of being flirty with all of her exes and warned me that it would happen to me eventually. She then started sobbing and begged me not to cheat on her with her sister, to which I forcefully said I would never cheat on her with anyone, let alone her sister. I've been crazy about my wife since day one, and there's literally no woman on earth who would come close to her. I mean, I fight with my sister, but we would never like cross that kind of line about like flirting with each other's spouses or like, ew! Ah! Why are people just so mean? Thank you for giving me a good sister, even though she pisses me off half the time. We would never do that to each other. I honestly didn't believe her about the flirting at first. I assumed it was just an extension of her insecurity, but I was wrong. Whenever we get together with my wife's family, Mary always finds ways to touch me and make little innuendos and comments about me or my body. It's super uncomfortable for everyone, especially my wife, and I've called her out on it before. She'll cool it for a while, but eventually start doing it again. It's been 6 years of this, and every time it happens, my wife is upset for days, and I have to do a lot of reassuring. On to the current problem. A few days ago, we were at my mother-in-law's birthday party, and Mary asked me to help her grab some things from the garage. As soon as we walked into the garage, she turned and pressed me up against the door with her whole body and started trying to kiss me. I immediately pushed her off and asked her what the f she was doing. She started giggling and saying that she was doing what we both have been thinking, and kept insisting, "You know you want to." I told her she was out of her mind and ran out of there. I went straight to my wife and told her we were leaving. The whole ride home she was asking me what was wrong. I wasn't sure whether to tell her because I knew how much it was going to hurt, but I also thought Mary would probably try to spin it as me making a move on her, so I knew I had to just say it. I told her everything and she cried the whole way home. For the last several days, Mary has been calling and texting my wife, doing exactly what I thought she would do. Even telling my wife that I said that Mary was the hottest girl I've ever seen, which I had to assure my wife a million times that I did not and would never say, even though she believes my account of the situation. She's been a complete wreck for the last several days and she's hardly eating. She pulls away from my touch when I try to hug her or just hold her. She says she feels hideous and disgusting and I don't know what to do. This is the lowest I've ever seen her and it hurts to see how much she's hurting. I have no idea what to do to help her heal from this. You guys, what should I do? You know what? I would beat her ass for you, dude. You gotta find a girl to beat that girl's ass.
Am I the asshole for telling my daughter she shouldn't complain about being poor because she chose to be a teacher? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. My husband and I, both late 50s, have 3 lovely children, James 34, Maggie 33, and June 32. My husband is a lawyer and I have been a paralegal since my last child graduated, so we make a good living. James is also a lawyer, same firm as his dad, and Maggie is now in law school after being a part-time paralegal while her 2 kids were young. Her husband is an engineer and does quite well. I'm not trying to brag, but we all do quite well and it's relevant to this post. June is an elementary school teacher, and her husband manages a restaurant. They are both very hardworking, and I am proud of June for doing very well at a very hard and vastly underpaid job. However, she is always jealous and complaining about how hard she has it. She's complained that we have a cabin in the UP, Michigan, and she's got a starter home that we gave her money for. She's complained about her sister having nice clothes and her brother's house in the lake, her husband having loans for his masters, and us having nice car, you name it. She constantly complains. Like every damn time she comes over, she says something like, must be nice to go on vacation. Must be nice to get new furniture, etc. Last night she started complaining again that she can't afford to go to the UP house and it must be nice to afford gas and still be able to wear fancy clothes. I snapped. I told her that her constantly complaining is getting old. We gave her the same help with her college and grad school as her siblings, and she knew when she chose her career what the salary was. I told her that I'm very proud of her, but she knew what she was getting into. And this is the kind of attitude that makes family not want to be around her. She was furious and left screaming that her siblings are golden children and that she was just as good. I tried to tell her that that wasn't true, but she wouldn't let me get a word in. She won't talk to me, but she called her sister, who was quite put out by the whole thing, but on my side. My husband, however, said that I should have just let it go, and my mother is very upset and is acting like I did something terrible. So, was I wrong for indecently exposing myself while feeding my baby? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. I, 27 female, recently had mine and my husband's 32 male first child, a little boy who is now 5 months old. Our baby is amazing and we're so in love with him. After the birth, we only allowed our parents and siblings to see the baby so that we could have some time to settle into our new lives. We didn't want to be overrun with visitors, but we decided to host a barbecue this weekend so some more extended family and friends could meet the baby. It went really well, and everyone was so over the moon to see the little one. I would like to clarify, this wasn't a huge gathering, maybe only 10 people. At one point, I took my baby inside for his lunch. I'm nursing him at the moment, so I went to his nursery so we could have some privacy. As most people were in the backyard, I thought this would be a quiet spot for the two of us. Unbeknownst to me, my best friend's 27 female, husband, 29 male, needed the bathroom at some point and came into the house. I think he was having a bit of a snoop around because he ended up opening the door to the nursery while I was with the baby, which is nowhere near the bathroom, and inevitably found us. He was quite shocked and fumbled his words a little bit before closing the door and leaving. I was not very happy that this had happened because I had specifically gone looking for a quiet moment so baby could eat. But it is what it is, and I thought it was over. When I walked out of the house a little while later, I was surprised to see that my best friend and her husband had left. My husband tells me that when my best friend's husband came out of the house, he immediately reprimanded my husband for the fact that I was exposing myself and acting inappropriately in front of guests. Of course, my husband was very confused by what was going on, but best friend's husband basically grabbed my friend and the two of them left, leaving everyone else quite stunned. A few hours after everyone had gone, best friend's husband started a group chat with myself, my husband, and my best friend, and basically said that he could not believe how I had exposed myself to him today, when I knew he was happily married, and that I should have more shame. He said that I was not setting a good example for my son, who would grow up to be some kind of deviant because I'm refusing him to feed him the normal and healthy way. I'm honestly quite upset about the whole thing, and no one has responded. My best friend has not even opened any of my messages. But I wonder if maybe I should have just gone with bottle feeding
Organizing my desk
so that none of this
drawers.
would have ever happened. My husband thinks best friend's husband has lost his mind, but I wonder.
Am I wrong for purchasing my guy friend his dream birthday gift and outshining his girlfriend in the process? My guy friend Tom has been one of my best friends since college. We're in our mid-20s now and both currently in committed relationships with long-term partners. I've never had feelings for Tom, nor has he ever had them for me. Since college, Tom has been a huge watch fanatic. Well, 2 months ago, he was showing me this stunning vintage watch and made an offhanded comment about how he would die of joy if he got his hands on one. Very coincidentally, I was in New York City after a few weeks and I stumbled upon this watch store. They had the exact one that Tom wanted for $2,500. But I decided to get it for his 25th birthday because to me, it was basically fate. My boyfriend and I do very well financially, so this was something I could definitely afford, and I wanted to buy it for Tom, especially knowing how happy it make him. For his birthday, Tom has a tradition of hosting a dinner party and opening all of his gifts. Am I wrong for purchasing my guy friend his dream gift and outshining his girlfriend? I told him before the dinner that my gift was a huge surprise and asked if he could save it for last, and he agreed. His girlfriend ends up going first, and she gets him this gorgeous sweater that she crocheted and a book that he's been wanting, which I thought was super thoughtful and lovely. Last, it was my gift, and when he opened it and saw what it was, he literally screamed and hopped over a bunch of people and squeezed me in this huge bear hug. I was so happy to see him happy, and it genuinely filled me with so much joy. He even got emotional and wiped a few tears. He also said it was the best gift he'd ever received. The whole time, his girlfriend was slightly smiling and staying quiet. The next morning, I got a text from his girlfriend that essentially said although she appreciated the gift, she thought it was a bit out of touch and lacking awareness. She admitted that Tom told her about the watch and she wanted to get it, but it was out of budget. She accused me of knowing this and still getting it to rub it in her face and outshine her.
Am I the asshole for divorcing my husband to pursue my dreams? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. So I, 41 female, have been an actress my entire life. I went to a performing arts high school and graduated in theater program from my college. At age 22, I started dating my husband. By age 25, I was a married mom. We have a 16-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old son, and an 11-year-old daughter. My husband started his career as an auditor. Meanwhile, I felt like I was expected by him to be a supporting character in the story of his life. I had to conform to his fame of mine and prop up his visions for how life should be. This included me having to accommodate his long working hours, me unable to book last-minute auditions because his clients would flip if he walked out during meetings to take our kids to the doctors or pick them up from school. I spent my 20s and early 30s trying to pursue acting, but when I landed a part in a commercial or a small speaking role, I would not take the job because my husband said we could not afford a nanny that would allow for me to just go off to Atlanta or New York for a few weeks at a time on short notice. Eventually, all of my $400 headshots were just collecting dust, and people kept saying that they wished they had a six-figure earning husband who was climbing the ladder. I am now 41. My oldest daughter is in acting classes, and she's good, but everyone from her acting schools rave about how I look like Margot Robbie. And driving my daughter to auditions and managing her social media made me realize how much I miss acting. I realized that despite what my husband thinks, this was more than a hobby. My husband was transferred from LA to San Francisco 2 years ago. The kids like San Francisco, but I hate it. The kids are growing up and my husband is a good dad, but I feel like his work in maintaining the household is just cooking meals occasionally. He just adds a lot to the workload. In addition, he also does not want our daughter to pursue acting professionally. I felt my kids would be proud to see me pursue my dreams, and it might encourage my daughter to pursue being an actress too. My husband and I went on one failed counseling session and didn't address the resentment. I ended up subletting a 2-bedroom apartment on the funds from my credit card and filed for divorce. My husband refused to let me take the 2 younger kids with me, but my older daughter insisted on going with me to LA, and my husband tearfully relented. I thought I was doing the right thing, but my 2 younger kids came to visit and are very distant. They refused to live with me full time. I now have been going to auditions and networking, and even though it's only been a few months, I feel like I've been set free, but people are asking me to reconsider this divorce. I want to move forward with it, but I'm upset my kids are upset, and I feel like there's a pressure on me to book a job or this will all have been for nothing. But even if I don't book jobs, I'm doing what I love to do. And I get to support my daughter to act in the way I was never supported.
Am I wrong for saying no to my wife to be a bridesmaid? I am or was going to be the best man at my brother's wedding next year. My wife was also invited to be a bridesmaid, and initially she said yes. It turns out the bride is now expecting my wife to get a whole new wardrobe for the bridal showers, bachelorette party, rehearsal, and reception dinner on top of the bridesmaid's dress. And the only color she's allowed to wear to all of these events is the same lavender color as her bridesmaid's dress. She was even given a few swatches of the material to take shopping with her. The shoes and makeup have to match the photos, and even pajamas have to match. I know it's a lot, you guys. All I can say is at least the pictures are gonna be so cute. Anyway, the bachelorette party is a week getaway, plus all the other events. It's like an additional 10 days of clothes that my wife will never wear again. She normally wears black or dark color clothes. I bring this up to my brother after he brings me the swatches of the fabric. I told him it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Am I wrong for saying no to my wife to be a bridesmaid? I brought this up to my brother after he brought me some fabric, and I told him it was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard. He said that's why they're giving me almost a year to get together all the items for the bachelorette and wedding. I'm thinking of my wife's reaction because she's already not great friends with the bride. I told my brother that my wife can attend the wedding as a guest and not a bridesmaid. So my brother gets all upset, saying I'm upsetting his fiance's aesthetic that she had planned. He feels like all he's asking is a few days of accommodation, and I'm saying no. So he tells me I'm no longer his best man for this, and I'm selfish for destroying his fiance's dream wedding over a few dresses. By the way, I'm not sure why some people think I didn't discuss this with my wife. I told her afterwards and she laughed, saying hard pass. Maybe when you grow up into a functional, healthy relationship, you'll understand that you can predict your partner's moods and their boundaries. Top comment says, people are not an aesthetic. They are not a prop in someone's wedding. An aesthetic is a centerpiece. Am I wrong for screaming at my husband and his sister to get out of my kitchen? My husband's sister, 38, lives with us and our kids. I'm well beyond fed up with her being here because of food issues, and that's honestly the only reason. So basically, every time I make food, his sister will come in the kitchen and doctor up the food I'm making to her liking. Like I made steak and shrimp the other day like Applebee's, and she waited until I left the room to put a full stick of butter in my shrimp that was already done. And when I came back in, she goes, "I'm pretty sure that's the taste you were looking for," and completely ruined it. It was literally trash. Or whenever I make spaghetti, she'll literally start dumping sugar into the sauce. And to a point of sweet spaghetti that me and my kids outright refuse to touch because it's nasty. Now, I don't mind a little bit of sugar in my spaghetti, but let me know down below if you guys are a fan, if you're heavy-handed, or if you don't want sugar anywhere near your spaghetti. But every single time she can get away with it, she's doing something to the food. Am I wrong for screaming at my husband and his sister to get out of my kitchen? Every single time she can get away with it, she's doing something to the food. Anyways, my husband has started to do the same thing. I was making homemade mac and cheese and cheeseburgers when I went to go to the basement to the chest freezer. I grabbed the vegetables I needed, and when I came upstairs, my husband was putting canned chicken into the mac and cheese. And he knows the kids absolutely hate the taste of that. And his sister was pushing blocks of blue cheese into the partially cooked burgers. I asked them what the F they were doing because I've told them so many times to stop messing with the food, and neither of them had a good excuse. Except for the fact that they were just helping, so I flipped out and told them to get the F out of my kitchen. They both told me I'm overreacting, but the thing is, I've openly asked sister-in-law to cook several times and she won't. But she won't stop messing with the food that I'm making. My husband does cook often, but he knows how I feel about people messing with my food.
Am I the asshole for refusing to feed my husband's nice dinner? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. My sister-in-law and her daughter, 12 female, have been temporarily staying with us until sister-in-law's divorce is finalized. My sister-in-law works overnight shifts, so she would get home at about 5 a.m. and she sleeps until about 5-6ish when she would get up to make dinner for her daughter. She leaves for work at about 9:15. I have her daughter every day and I was never even asked. Sister-in-law says she doesn't need a babysitter, but she quite literally does because she has zero independence and can't even make a sandwich without asking for help. I've already been growing resentful because I'm tired of never having time with my own kids without the obligation of letting this girl tag along because she starts whining, says she doesn't want to be home alone. Her mother is there sleeping, but she still flips out. Like I haven't even been able to go to the beach or ice cream without bringing her for the past 3 months. I've brought it up with my sister-in-law and she says the same shit. She doesn't need a babysitter. She's 12. Stop acting like you have to watch her. But then poses another issue. Sister-in-law, who is supposed to be buying her own food for her and her kid to eat separately, has stopped making her kid dinner. She is now sleeping until about 7-8 p.m. And as I said, she leaves for work at 9:15. So she doesn't even get up to make her kid dinner with the food that they bought. She doesn't pay rent, so I'm seriously fucking irritated that I now have an extra mouth to feed. But anyways, yesterday I threw an absolute piss fit. Very childish, I get it, because for the past 3 nights her kid has been eating with us and will eat so much food so damn quickly that I have not eaten anything more than scraps the last 2 nights in a row, while being 32 weeks pregnant. Like, last night, I literally only got a baked potato because she devoured my portion of the steak when I went to pee. My kids were like, "Mom, we told her it was yours, but she didn't listen." So I snapped and told my sister-in-law I was done watching and cooking for her kid, and that she had better be up at 5 or 6 today to make her kid food. Well, she wasn't. So I told the kid to go wake up her mother and to get dinner. And she did, but sister-in-law came downstairs pissed because it's not that fucking hard to just tell her to throw a sandwich together. I told her that if the attitude continues, she can leave. This is not my kid and this is not her home. I am doing her a favor and I absolutely do not have to. She says I'm throwing shit in her face and I don't understand because I'm a stay-at-home mom, not a working mom like she is. As I said, the agreement was that she and her kid would be buying their own food and eating separately from us. Sister-in-law is fully taking advantage of this and using this as the guise I have to work all the time to provide for my kid. A kid she's not providing for, as she isn't cooking for her, cleaning up after her, hanging out with her, etc. I've been bringing that girl with me every single day. And twice a week, I bring her out with me and my kids to get ice cream, which comes out of my pocket. My husband is overseas on deployment and is only available to call once a week, so I can't even get his help on this issue. Sister is fully taking advantage of me, and not once did I take it out on the kid. At the start, we decided not to charge her rent because her ex-husband was the breadwinner and left her with nothing. The only thing we said was that she had to buy her own food. That's it. So,
am I wrong for refusing to pay for my daughter's wedding because she won't let me walk her down the aisle? I'm a 48-year-old man and my 19-year-old daughter has always been an independent thinker. I raised her to be independent and to think for herself, which I've always appreciated. However, we recently hit a bit of a snag. So she got engaged and decided that she doesn't want me to walk her down the aisle. She has stated that her mother and I don't own her, therefore we have no right to give her away. I feel hurt by this because we never treated her like an object or a piece of property. Rather, we've tried our best to provide her with a wonderful life. I find her stance to be extreme, and despite our discussion, she's refusing to budge on the issue. I do respect her choices, but I feel like she's disregarding our feelings completely. So as a response, I told her if she feels that way, I won't be paying for her wedding. I don't want to come across as controlling or manipulative, but by her logic, if I don't own her, I don't owe her. At least not a fully funded wedding. Am I wrong for refusing to pay for my daughter's wedding because she won't let me walk her down the aisle? My daughter feels like her mother and I don't own her, therefore we don't have the right to give her away. I respect her choices, but I feel she's disregarding our feelings completely, so as a response, I told her I won't be paying for her wedding. I'm not trying to be controlling or manipulative, but by her logic, if I don't own her, I don't owe her a fully funded wedding. She can pay for her own wedding if she's insistent on this stance. The edit says this isn't about making the wedding about me. It's about her attitude. She's had every opportunity in life so far, and to exclude us from this day is a spit in the face. It just feels like a rejection of everything we've done for her, sacrificed for her, given her, and it feels selfish. 90% of wedding traditions and symbolism had roots in things we don't acknowledge today. Should we stop all of them? The rings, the flowers, the dress, the wedding party, the cake, the flower girls? A father walking his daughter down the aisle is about respect, pride, and love.
My boyfriend has a work wife and I hate it. Story time. Me and my boyfriend have been together for nearly 4 years now, and we've been long distance for 3 of those years. This has been because of the pandemic and the fact that we both just live in different cities. There have been absolutely no reasons for me to not trust this man. All of these years long distance, nothing has ever happened for me to doubt his feelings or lose his trust. That was until 3 months ago. In our relationship, we often talk about our days, like what happened at work, etc. And everything was like pretty normal until he started talking about this one co-worker. We'll call her Amy. So my boyfriend, we'll call him Steve, has worked there for 2 years, and Amy had worked there for like 5+ years. And to be honest, I can't even say if they only recently met because they've always been in the same department and on the same team. In all his time working there, I have never heard him talk about Amy, at least sort of not how he's talking about her now. So anyway, buckle in. So Steve starts telling me how amazing Amy is and how he is just so happy that he has found Amy as a friend. Now, I was all alright with that until he says that she is his work wife. Now, I know the concept of a work wife and a work husband, and to be frank, I don't like that. So at that point, I asked how long they had been each other's work spouse, and he said it had been about 3 months. And then he said about how his office had started to joke about how good him and Amy look together. So apparently his office are trying to get them together by giving them projects that they always have to do, just the 2 of them. And this has made them grow closer. He always tell me how they look after each other. And Amy even goes as far as to pack my boyfriend lunch every day. So apparently Amy would often ask him what he wanted to eat. Then she would go home, cook it, and bring it for his lunch the next day. You know, I really couldn't bear to hear anymore. I just felt so betrayed. I just feel so lied to. I just keep thinking about all the times I'd asked how his day was, and this Amy girl and these stories just never came up. I didn't even know Amy and him were even that close. And then I never had any idea about his co-workers teasing them. And now I just don't know what to do. I have spoke to Steve about it, but he says that I'm just blowing things up for no reason. And I just feel so betrayed. What do you think I should do? Because
my wife bought a house without telling me. I snooped and found more stuff. I think my marriage might be over. I really am lost on what to do now. We've been married for 5 years. I'm 33, she's 25. And she's always been a private loner type, but this is too much in my opinion. I have a gym membership I was trying to get canceled and was looking for bank statements in our home office area, and I found a deed to a house and debt consolidation information, and eventually a deed to a house that was bought in 2020 in my wife's home state, 8 hours away from where we live now. I saw red and thought she was cheating or had another lover and confronted her. She was surprised but didn't act like she did anything wrong because she used her money. My wife worked with other developers on a software product that was eventually bought for a decent sum, and when her parents passed away, she received all of their assets as their only child. So she technically does not need work for the rest of her life, she just chooses to. She told me that she brought it up years years ago that she wanted to have her own place that can be used for vacations or rental property, but that in the case of a divorce, she wants a place that's hers, as our prenup states that the house will go to me. Yes, I do remember this conversation, but she never told me she had bought the place or had actually done it, so I find that pretty fishy. It sounds like you have listening problems. The conversation happened, buddy. After the conversation, I started snooping while she was at work the next day because I couldn't sleep. When we met, she was upfront about not wanting kids. I asked a little bit before I proposed, and she said she for sure did not want them. I told her that I did, and she said that she would be willing to adopt a child above the age of 2, but not willing to have it herself. Didn't make sense to me, but adoption is a-okay in my book. We started the adoption process in October and are still being verified and getting our backgrounds checked. But while looking through her computers, I saw she had reached out about getting her tubes tied and contacted her health insurance company about coverage and specific doctors in the network. So I know she is pretty serious and didn't look it up on a whim. I went back and asked her about it, and she said she always told me that she doesn't want kids and she isn't hiding anything, and told me it is only common sense to prevent pregnancy before she gets stuck with one. I called her out on her word usage and said I'm not sure she would be a good mother. She snapped on me and called me an unrealistic fool. She still made us our breakfast and packed my lunch for my night shift, but I can tell from how she packed it, she's still mad. She usually makes cute bento-style lunchboxes for me every day, and today was just leftover meat and fresh sides, not fresh everything. I told her if she had something to say to me, she should say it, but that I'm not okay with her trying to make life-altering decisions without even talking to me. She was taking a bath and just pulled the curtain and ignored me. I can't talk to any of my buddies about this because they've already said I should have left her years ago, but the reasoning on why is something I don't fully agree with, and they won't offer me real advice. She feels like I'm overstepping and doesn't listen when she talks, something we've had a problem with since we started dating, and I feel like she's too independent. I want to make things work, and I'm just really stuck here on which one of us is not being understanding enough or how to get past this. Okay, so from what it sounds like, she's clearly told you that I want to have a property to myself in case we get divorced or as a vacation or as a separate income, and that she doesn't want kids. She's pretty clear on what she wants and doesn't want in life. What are you not understanding?
Am I wrong for not wanting to play a game my girlfriend created? My 27 girlfriend 24 has been working on a visual novel game as a side project for almost 2 years and recently finished it. She wanted me to play it, but I initially declined because I'm not into visual novels or reading long stories. But after she begged, I gave it a try and played for a good 15 minutes. Now I can tell she put a lot of effort in the writing and the art. It was a good start, but I just got tired of reading and stopped. She asked me what I thought and wanted me to eventually finish it and tell her what I thought about the choices and the endings, but I told her I had no plans to. She looked shocked and asked if it was boring, and I said no, it's just that I'm not into this type of genre and she knows I'm not into reading. But she asked me to make an exception this one time because she made it. I got upset because I think she's being childish and wants to blackmail me into doing something I don't want. Am I wrong for not wanting to play a game my girlfriend created? She looked shocked and asked if it was boring, and I told her no, it's just I'm not into this type of genre and she knows I'm not into reading. But she still asked me to make an exception this time because she made it, and I got upset because I feel like she's being childish and blackmailing me into doing something I don't want to. After I made it clear I wasn't continuing, she hasn't talked to me. I already know that she is very talented and smart, so just because I don't want to play it doesn't mean I don't support her. Some of my friends agree that she's being immature, but others think I should be more supportive. Top comment on Reddit says, I just read the rubbish that you wrote and I'm not your significant other. All I read was a bad boyfriend that can't do something as simple as sitting there and reading for your girlfriend to be happy. And I really like this one. It says your girlfriend worked for years on the project and you can't be bothered to spend an hour or two supporting her by playing it? Partners do things for each other. Get off the internet and apologize to her.
Was I wrong for telling my fiance my daughter has to be in our wedding? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I will list the source in the caption of this video. I, 45 male, have a daughter P from a previous relationship. I divorced my ex-wife on good terms and we share 50-50 custody of P. She is now 11. After my divorce with my ex-wife, I met my fiance S. S and my daughter got along well. After 5 years in a relationship, I proposed to S. S was super excited and wanted to start planning right away. She looked at venues and started asking her friends to be her bridesmaids. She then told me she wanted her niece to be the flower girl, which I had no problem with, but I said I also wanted P to be a flower girl. S looked at me funny and then said that she didn't think that P would fit the part.
I got angry and told S that my daughter would be in our wedding. S started to become upset and said that the girls in the wedding were up to her and that P wouldn't be one of them. I told S that if P wasn't in the wedding, then there might not be a wedding. I stormed out and took P to get some ice cream. P knows we are getting married and told me that she thinks she'll look pretty in whatever dress S decides she should wear for the wedding. This broke my heart and I decided to text S. I told her that I would be staying at a friend's to think this over. My mother-in-law texted me saying I overreacted and that my daughter doesn't have to be in the wedding and that I was an ass for saying that I would cancel it. I came home to talk to S today, and when I pulled our car in the driveway, my mother-in-law was sitting there in her car. I got out and went inside to avoid talking to my mother-in-law. S was sitting at the kitchen table and I joined her. She sat in silence, so I asked the first question. Why does P not fit the part? And why don't you want her in the wedding at all? Her answer full-on shocked me. She said, I was hoping that after the wedding, you would be a holiday-only visit dad. I didn't want her in the wedding so she wouldn't be in the photos in the house since she wasn't going to be around much. I kept my cool, calmly took her hand and pulled off my engagement ring. Her eyes started to tear up and she said we shouldn't end the marriage over this and that she can change. I told her that the damage was already done. I told her I wanted her to move her things out by next week and that she should come when my daughter wasn't around. The house is in my name and I paid for it. I was allowing her to come and get her furniture that she paid for. She stormed out and my mother-in-law came knocking on the door saying that I was being unreasonable. I couldn't imagine only seeing my daughter 3 or 4 times a year. The fact S wanted me to give up part of my custody blew me away. I'm sitting on my couch just in shock. Our honeymoon was supposed to be in Hawaii. Looks like me and P will be going instead.
Am I wrong for dropping out of my friend's wedding party after a prank? Depends how severe the prank was. My female 26 cousin, female 29, got engaged a few months ago and asked me to be a bridesmaid. I was so excited to accept. His sister, 32 female, is the maid of honor and there are 3 other bridesmaids. The date is set for April 2024. On April 1st of this year, she sent a PDF to the bridesmaid group chat that really made me angry. It was a list of wedding party responsibilities, rules, and regulations. It included a picture of the bridesmaid dresses that we'd be wearing. They were hideous. And she told us that we have to pay $800 for them and that they only went up to a size 8, so anyone bigger than that would need to lose weight before the wedding. That made me so angry because I wear a size 10, but also she's like a size 12 herself, so even fatter than me. Other ridiculous things she added. None of us were allowed to be tanner than her for the wedding, so she told us that none of us could spend significant time in the sun for the next year. She wanted to have longer hair than all of her bridesmaids, so she said that we'd all have to cut our hair to our shoulders or shorter. She wanted to do a choreographed dance with all of us and insisted that we go to a 3-hour dance classes with her every Sunday until the wedding, a year away. She said that she wanted her bachelorette party to be in Paris and that we would all need to chip in $3,000. There was more, but I was so angry I stopped reading and muted the group chat for a few hours. I was so livid and hurt that I decided to drop out of the wedding party, but I didn't say anything right away. The next day, I checked the group chat again, and everyone else had been chatting about how funny the bride's prank was. Apparently, at the bottom of the PDF, it said April Fools, but I hadn't read that far because I was so mad. Everyone else thought it was hilarious, but it still rubbed me the wrong way. I reached out to the bride to tell her how much this hurt my feelings, and she did apologize. But even though it's been almost 2 months, I'm still really angry. I can kind of tell. I decided this week that I no longer wanted to be a bridesmaid because of the mean-spirited prank and told my cousin. Now, she's really hurt and angry, and the other maid of honor and other bridesmaids and some of my family members are blowing up my phone saying that I'm overreacting to an innocent prank. But I believe that pranks are only funny if the recipient finds them funny, and I definitely don't. So, am I the asshole? So she has a small little edit, okay? Okay, clearly, I've been deemed the asshole, and I'll accept that, but I also realized that I didn't explain my feelings very well. I was angry because all of the items in the list seemed to single me out. Expensive dress and bachelorette. I make the least money out of everyone in the wedding party, and it felt like a jab. The sizing? Same thing. Only me and 2 other bridesmaids are bigger than a size 8. The hair? We all have long hair, but I have the longest hair out of anyone in the wedding party. The tanning? I work outdoors, so I'm probably the one most likely to be tan. Everything I read on the list felt tailored to me. Oh my god, this sounds like more like self-esteem issues more than anything.